Hey, it's me, your Uncle Cooper. Sorry to interrupt your music. I do love music, especially when it's set at a reasonable volume. You know, music is really only as good as your speakers. The same is true for minivans. A minivan is only as good as the tires it sits on. And the button on the screen there, it agrees with me. If you click on it, it'll bring you to all the Cooper minivan tires that'll make your minivan a really good minivan. Go with the Coopers! Cooper!
Hey, look at you. Florist by day, student by night. Student by day, nurse by night. Since 1998, Penn State World Campus has led the charge in online education, offering access to more than 175 in-demand programs taught by our expert faculty. We offer flexible schedules, scholarships, and tuition plans to help you reach your educational goals online. Penn State World Campus delivers on your time. Click the ad or visit worldcampus.psu.edu to learn more. That's worldcampus.psu.edu to learn more.
This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
PWI, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Hey, folks. Welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. A day ahead of time. I'm James Boyd. Here with me, I have Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. We are here a day ahead of time because we live in Central Florida and the hurricanes have, and I'm not talking about Miami, have showed up.
Don't be scared of them hurricanes at this rate.
At all. Yeah, so like I believe it is Hurricane Ian is circling. I live in Dunedin, Florida, which is like one side of the water. James lives near the other side of the water that's on this part. So we're like, well, maybe we should do the show here before we have to skedaddle in the next couple days.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, when you mentioned Ian, like, because, you know, if you remember the stupid basketball, like, thing popped me. Like, are you sure it's Ian and not Jan?
Oh, my God.
Like, Jan, y'all might hit me. This is the kind of stupid shit we think, like, cross my mind.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Jan Mahimi is down with the king.
Like, that's one thing that we were missing from this day's NBA. Like, famous centers that are only famous for getting dunked on by superstars. That's like, you know, we're missing that.
Everybody feels like they can't sacrifice no minutes to nobody, or like there's just a big still. Where is my like DJ Benga? Like where is they in the league? Like I remember DJ Benga, like bro, he was a meme guy before the memes took over. This man DJ Benga was like a ninja. He'll whoop anybody's ass in the league, from what I heard.
Yeah, there was some dude, I can't remember his name right now. There was like a dude that was a guard or a wing, a bigger wing in the Miami Heat for a few years, like that, like basically, like between LeBron to Bam era.
Joel Anthony?
Not Joel Anthony, but like he was a dude who was like, he like lifetime martial artist, like, and then like.
Oh, James Jones. Or James Johnson, excuse me.
Yes, James Johnson, that's who it was. It was like, bro, every time there was some type of, you know, issue, like people would be immediately grabbing whoever got an issue, would be like, bro, you do not want, no, this isn't for you. You will find out the wrong way. It will not go well for you. So it's always interesting to find out that people with, like, you know, the quote unquote NBA shooters.
Yes.
Like, and I don't mean like Charles Oakley shooters. That's a different type of shooter. That's your standard general tough guy. Like people that are like It's opposed to like a gigantic hammer is just a scalpel or a chisel, like somebody that will just dissect you, and you go here and there and everywhere. You don't necessarily know everybody, even though it's a cool connected thing or whatever else. And sometimes tippers get the best of everybody, and you next thing you know, you have like talked yourself into trying to scrap with some 6'7" third degree martial art black belt. You fucking idiot! You in for trouble, bro. You are in for trouble. Look, bro. I know you tough. You. It's not about the toughness. Sometimes it's about just the skill. Like how the NBA
like
players,
you just ill-equipped.
Right. Like you haven't sculpted this. You haven't spent your life fighting. You was working on your flick. In the hand or whatever else. You weren't working on these like they were. I'm sure you had to scrap and think about it. Like once you get above like 6'4", ain't too much scrapping going down for you.
Yeah.
Unless you got siblings that are also your size, or like
you're in the penitentiary.
Or you went through football. That's pretty much about it. That's pretty much the only time.
Or some kind of armed forces.
Yeah. But that's pretty much it. The only time you ever have to really do that, unless you go into places where people want to try you. You like the place that Undertaker likes to talk about. He was going to where he had to take his gun before he went to the WWE locker room. But whatever. What were we talking about? What were we talking about?
No idea, man.
We were talking about Miami Hurricanes. Then we were talking about Yamahimi being down with the king.
Getting dunked on. And
the Hurricane. The Hurricane. Yes. Or
the Hurricane.
In a couple, in about the next, 24 to 40 hours, a hurricane that is just south of Cuba as of right now will be heading towards Florida. We don't know where it's headed. We don't know if it's headed like up our alley, or if it will be more offset of that and headed offset. Quavo takeoff. Anyway, or headed more towards like the panhandle of the state. But either way, like depending on how or where this thing is headed over the next, roughly day or so, like we might need to get out of here. Like not even as far as like personal safety or as far as like a fear of flooding necessarily, but just as like, yeah, man, electricity being out for a day or two. It's gonna suck.
It's gonna be disastrous.
Yeah, it's gonna suck. So, we'll see how this goes. But I don't think you have to be too concerned about us right now. But just something to be on the lookout for. But yeah. So, what's on the docket for today, Rich?
Man, so actually last week the PWI 500 had came out, and I forgot to mention it as a topic last week. Okay. So I figured we could talk about it this week and look at also the Buddy Matthews situation that kind of broke out on Twitter today. I guess we can start there. So there was a report from Fightful that said Buddy Matthews may be done with AEW for a while, or at least on his way out. Sources tell Fightful. After this week's Rampage Grand Slam, Fightful was informed that the Great Muta spot was the Great Muta spot, if you did not see the show, was a way to write off Matthews off television for the time being. We weren't given context as to whether or not Matthews was being released, but had heard numerous times over the past couple months that he'd expressed dissatisfaction regarding his situation. Specifics of that aren't known yet. One source contacted Fightful after the NYC tapings and said they believed it was Buddy's last night, but that hasn't been confirmed. Buddy was at an indie show and said to the audience, unfortunately, tonight I'm going to be the bearer of some unfortunate news. As everyone knows, House of Black has had some issues lately. As all the members of the house, I speak beyond the wall. We want to thank you for all being members of the house. Unfortunately, I, like some of the other members, need to go away for a while. I need to recalibrate. I need to figure out some things. As my brother Malachi once said, this isn't goodbye. This is see you later. Of course, Malachi Black is also effectively done with AEW, with sources indicating that he's unable to wrestle for WWE for quite some time. Yeah, so all of this, is this the new code? Like when they talk about, I got to go recalibrate. I'm going to be seeing you soon. I'll come back later. Like, is this the new grift that's going on out here?
Grift, like, what are they coming up on by calling it by them announcing it that way?
They're basically like, it seems like they're trying to hide it in this like this veil of like personal turmoil and all this stuff.
I don't know, like, people changing jobs is kind of is a crossroads type of thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like, I don't know Buddy Matthews personality well enough to know how he handles these sorts of things. But what I will say is that, like, if they want to go to WWE, let them. Same way that I felt like when it came to people that want to leave WWE and go to AEW. I do not care. I do not have brand loyalty to either one of these promotions in that kind of way. Like, I grew up in the 90s with WCW and WWF and Rick Rude appearing on the same week's edition of Nitro and Raw. I do not give a fuck. Like, so if they want to, you know, play this game of ping ponging back and forth, let it happen. Because ultimately, as good as I think Malachi and Buddy are as talents in the ring, like, they have not appeared to prove themselves to be like that level of, we cannot let them get them type of person. Otherwise, they would be in a situation where, like, they wouldn't have gone through this thing like they've gone through it in the last year and a half, whatever you want to call it. So,
and there's a lot going on, like, with some kind of coded things that have come out, like, in recent weeks. Like, you know, when Tony was talking about he expected his relationship to be different with WWE going forward. And
that was also cool. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and a lot of people were, like, you know, keying that into, like, you know, several people asking for their releases seemingly to go back to WWE. Mm-hmm. And it's like he was, like, alluding to, like, you know, more tampering going on. And he basically, I remember at one point was begging for people to ask him about it, but just no one kind of did. So that was kind of weird. But yeah, I feel like if they don't want to be there, let the ass go. Like, there's a lot that has been happening as far as, like, you know, TK signed a lot of people in the last year that came from the WWE main roster, that came from working in the Black and Gold NXT. Bobby Fish, another one. We saw him pop up in Impact, which is fucking hilarious after he got outed as a, like, basically he was trying to get Adam Cole and what's his name? Kyle O'Reilly, who's recovering from neck surgery, to ask for their releases to go back to WWE. If these people want Triple H to be their daddy, like go.
You're being insulting. Now you're taking it from a place of being insulting and throwing pot shots at people about this daddy thing, right? I'm not doing that. I really do not care. Like, if you want to go there, you have a better relationship with one booker than the other one. That's some shit I will take into consideration too. Who wouldn't? But
Bobby Fish too old to be acting like this.
I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. Like, and look, we don't know the whole story on that. Like, that story left alone of, like, oh, like, there's been this string over the last, like, few weeks that, like, former WWE talents have been reached out to about leaving AEW to come back to WWE now magically after Triple H has taken over the book at the top. And, like, all of a sudden, like, he's gone, that story comes out, like, people have been fired for that kind of shit. Like, it's not so much that Bobby Fish got tampered with as much as it is, like, Bobby Fish heard this and allegedly, like, went to two other more important talents and said, hey, me, you, and you, let's all go back. That's a problem. People get fired for that. Like, niggas, you know, that's some double agent type shit.
Yes.
So,
and, you know, from everything I heard, like, Cole was like, hell no, like, and may have, like, you know, basically told TK about it. There are rumors, like, you know, there are other people like Swerve was reportedly reached out to. There was people were talking about Andrade. They're basically, you know, there's a part of the story where a lot of these people have significant others that still are in WWE, mm-hmm. which there are very dark rumors that are out there that I do not feel comfortable speaking on the air about. They, like, and as far as, like, you
Lothario Negro,
yes,
you need to stop.
Yes.
You need to stop. This is not the place where we speculate about stuff like that. I think you know us well enough now to know that we don't really go there. But
that's what I mentioned. Dark rumors that I will not.
Yeah. We ain't touching upon none of that speculation. Like, in the words of our forefathers, don't get me to lying. So. Like, I don't want to touch that one at all.
But I think, we talked about like the AEW fan base and embracing guys and why certain guys are getting cheered, why it feels like some guys are slower to get warmed up to. I think like a lot of this stuff is like I've seen a lot of people like and I made the joke today. I was like, man, maybe Kane was right. Maybe they shouldn't have hired 80% of the roster. Like, and that shit ended up with like 500 likes. So it's like people really want to root for like the guys that have been on the journey. Like, and it feels like last couple of weeks it's been like this refocusing of this the pillars and like Garcia and that group and the Lucha Brothers getting shine and Pac and Orange Cassidy and Best Friends and the people that were on top like Mox and Jericho and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, man, like people are seeing this stuff like the Bobby Fish stuff, like this Malachi Black, these people acting up, and like nothing's warming them up to the audience. Guys that I do think the audience are warming up to, Swerve, Lee, and what are they not doing? Basically twerking for Triple H on the timeline. Like people are not like people see through a lot of this stuff right now. So it is going to be interesting coming up because there are way too many good wrestlers right now still for both companies. Like there are like, it's funny how NXT served as like that third like place to like put people now. And they still have like WWE is going to run into a problem too, because they don't have like enough spots to push everyone. Neither does AEW. So people are going to try to get to wherever they think they can make the biggest impact. But maybe CM Punk was on to something. It was like the grass is greenest where you water it, and really try to do it. And I think it's good. Like with in AEW's case, like if people want to go, let them. Like right. There's no reason to poison the locker room with malcontents and people. And the thing with AEW though, they do like honor all the deals. This is not a company that like people are just getting fired. Like it's like, yo, your contract runs to this date, you're getting paid to this date. So there's like when people want to leave there, it's like, huh? And
yeah. And even while that is happening, you're having people throwing pity parties for people that got their contracts honored throughout the duration of it. And people are upset they didn't get extended. And then you have fuckers, empty-headed dumb fucks coming on TV and talking about workers' rights. So like, yes, it's amazing that like Tony Khan is like literally like almost, unless you are doing something like
Havoc, like it's like fireable offense.
Havoc. Unless you're doing something that's like a fireable offense, or who else did something like the day before he's going to debut Danielson's friend,
fucking Brian Kendrick,
champion, Kendrick. Like when he did that, like unless you're one of those kind of people that fuck up in that kind of way, and you sign a contract, your contract will be honored for the duration of your contract. It's almost like a no-cut contract, except for like a morals clause. Just don't fuck up. And then like, but for some people, apparently that's still not even enough. So like, I don't know, man. It's really strange. It's really strange. In that particular perspective, where we are with like, I guess some of the fandom at certain points in certain sects. But I just think that everybody believes in themselves, and I think that's for the best. And like, if some people are gonna be right, some people are gonna be wrong, and we'll see. Or some things will work out, and some things won't, in conjunction with all that kind of stuff, and we'll see. But yeah, like this is the beauty of having two major American pro wrestling promotions, that like you're not just stuck being miserable or feeling stuck if you don't want to be.
Yeah,
at least right now in the AEW side, WWE is obviously playing a different game. But like, I think that, from a perspective standpoint, that only makes them look worse.
Who?
WWE, when it comes to like AEW, if you are unhappy, will let you go under certain conditions, if you will. WWE, they ain't letting you go.
Like, he'll take your ass home, like Pac, like back in the day.
Right. For what was that? Over a year? He wasn't allowed to wrestle.
Yeah, maybe more than that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of wrestlers got to look themselves in the mirror too. Like, and as far as like, if you're a creative person and you're smart and you're driven and like not lazy, AEW is like the place you want to be, because you're going to have that creative freedom and you're going to have the ability to pitch yourself. And it seems like if you are kind of waiting for like to be like given like whatever you're going to do, or like you might want to look at like WWE. Like they still got script writers, they still got people like coming up with all the storylines and all that. Like I look at Swerve and how he's basically heated up. It's been 6 months since he's been in AEW. He's been a champion. He's gone up and established himself. He's had incredibly like good pay-per-view matches, and then like television matches as well. He's pulled ratings, and it's like he's doing all these things like within the company and beyond the company, and really making himself this asset that he made himself in NXT as well. Never forget, this man had his own podcast on Peacock.
Yeah.
And the WWE network before. So it was like, this has always kind of been like his MO. And, for someone like Swerve, this works like easier for him, because it's like AEW's always been open to the outside opportunities, like of trying to make yourself bigger and make the company bigger at the same time. And I
WWE
think
likes that too, as long as they get a cut.
Indeed.
And therein lies the rub.
Indeed.
Like it was like, remember we were joking about like, the podcast, everybody's Twitches and that sort of thing, and like OnlyFans and that kind of stuff. Like they was trying to turn them niggas into having 360 deals. Like,
yes.
These are not like musical artists. These are wrestlers. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Right. Like at least when you're signed to a record deal, like you are in theory an employee of them. You getting you getting an advance, blah 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 blah. Like that. No, you're independent contractor still in all technicality. Like it's weird, man.
You remember that WWE owns my face shit that AJ Styles was talking about?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, so it was like, this is like Vince McMahon's like, he owns this or whatever.
Man.
That's like, yeah, that was the whole thing. So yeah, man, as far like, I don't think this is any real kind of loss. And I talked about Malachi Black last week. A lot of big ideas probably. We don't know what was pitched and what was denied, but something happened. And as far as Matthews goes, those be the breaks. Brewhaven, it is my dream to do 4-role class in the PC. Jesus. The issue is that
they're at a stage where they ain't got to go through all that.
So the issue is that
Malachi Black was on the main roster. So actually, both of them were already in the main roster. They don't have to do that.
Yeah,
it's a good joke though, but
Bill's Mafia. At this point, if someone wants out of AEW, they're telling me they don't want to grind, they have no good ideas for themselves, that TK can work with.
They're funny from the grind. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm saying, so
that's funny.
So, I mean, look at the schedule too. Like you're still there. It's still like one taping a week, and they're doing house shows again. So, I think there is something to consider about this generation of wrestlers. Is that these wrestlers want to wrestle and like be used and like have great matches more, and it's not necessarily about like how much they're getting paid. I believe Dave's talked about this. And it's not necessarily about like, like making that good check. It's not there. It's like they really want to do work they're proud of. And if they don't feel like they're getting like that time, like there's a lot and there's a lot about, these guys that are different from, say Kevin Nash would not want that as nearly as much. He would be happy. He would be happy to show up every 6 weeks.
Yeah, because Kevin Nash is how tall again?
7 foot.
Yeah, Kevin Nash at 6'2" doesn't have the same options that Kevin Nash at 7 foot does. That's, you know what I'm saying? Like we all know that, like, depending on what you bring to the table, you have different types of you have different opportunities available to you. So like, yeah, like Kevin Nash, especially back then when like wrestlers were getting, stupid money, for the level of output they have to, or effort they have to put into their matches or their angles or whatever else. Like, yeah, I could see why, like, oh, I don't care, whatever. Like, I got over at a certain thing. I was on top over here. I can go over here where there are marks from people that were on top over there. And, was it favorite nations?
Yep.
And get favorite nations. Oh, cool. You're bringing in so-and-so. I'm going to make more money than them. I don't care. I don't care. Like, he has no incentive to care. And that was what led to the destruction of the two labels that we had at the time. But that's not to say like Kevin Nash has led to destruction of WCW. I'm not getting into that. Even though he's Booker at some point. But whatever. I'm not getting into that. That's for another podcast at a time. But back to what I was saying, like, just dudes are built different. People value things differently. People have different heroes. People have different influences. And like overwhelmingly, like the era of people now, like they want to work hard in the ring. They don't want to, have matches that like make them think of like, oh, this person drew blah, blah, blah. They're so great. And then like everybody rags them on how fucking lazy they were and how the match was formulaic or blah, 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 blah. Like people care that when matches make tape. Like you heard, people talk about that. Like when people know matches are going to be on TV, they get amped up. They want to do crazier shit or whatever else, or try harder or whatever else. Like they don't want to be outclassed or be, fine to have some match be out there lacking. Like obviously, for some people, like a Darby Allin, like a Will Ospreay, this might be, or, Dragon Lee, that might be for Ray Phoenix. Tons of the psychopaths. Maybe it's for maybe that is, the downturn of it is like people's bodies getting worn out even more, even though we're, far more advanced medically, and also in physical training. But yeah, like people are motivated by like wanting to be the best in a way that like back then it was like the best meant something different. The best was like, how many butts can you put in the seats? How much merch can you sell? How much can you get away with by doing the absolute least? Like that was the idea of working. Now it's like everybody is mostly on the up and up with this shit being fake. And like the people that mostly care about this stuff are people that like watch this stuff for totally different reasons. And like we're motivated by the people that were like the people that were influential, like Super J Cut 94 people, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's kind of where we are in the game. I don't think there's wrong. Obviously, whatever your objective is in this business, like I hope that people are able to be talented enough to reach it, whether it's, put on all the great matches they want to, or, put butts in seats and be charismatic, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. Like, those are all needed to make this work anyway. So just be good. Put on good stuff. Make me happy. Make me proud.
Yeah, man. I guess the next place we should go is the PWI 500 that came out this past couple weeks. So shout out to the PWI staff for putting a list together, throwing it out there. But this list, weird, man. Weird for PWI standards. I am someone that has always like kind of been interested in the PWI 500 back since like the 90s. Obviously we know it's a kayfabe thing. It's very heavily like wins and losses, or at least how it traditionally is. Wins, losses, activity. And
one thing that always gets forgotten is like when people go over this stuff, it seems it's like every single year the cutoff date is what, like it is from basically somewhere between June and July of every single year. It's like the cutoff date.
And
people
July
often forget
to June or some shit like that.
Yeah. It was like the last day of June from last year to July 1st this year, I think, or July or June, whatever. It's basically June, July. Is a cutoff between 2021 to 2022. I saw the list at first, and I've already forgotten because it was a minute ago since I last looked at it. But I saw the top two. I saw the top one. Thought number one made sense. Saw number two and was like, really? And then I forgot the rest of it. I was kind of surprised by two, to be honest with you.
So we'll go with the top 10 here, and then like I'll like once the top 10 are out, we'll talk about like 11 through 20 and shit like that. Okay. So number 10 was Jonathan Gresham.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9, Big E.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8, El Hijo del Vikingo.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, Bryan Danielson.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, Cody Rhodes. Number 5, Bobby Lashley. Number 4, Hangman Page. Number 3, CM Punk. Number 2, Kazuchika Okada. And number 1, Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when I'm thinking about like and I don't know if their criteria have changed, like, and they've added these.
Well, they stated the criteria when I read it, and when I read it, it made no sense.
It's like it seems like they didn't really adhere to this, and then they had a vision of what they wanted to do and emphasize, while rewarding weird agendas, and also really rewarding WWE and the value of WWE.
But you know, they've always done that. To be fair, they've always done
right. So when I look at Roman Reigns and he's had 6 matches this calendar year, I'm like, I feel like the rules are modified in a sense to make him number 1. So whatever. But I think Jonathan Gresham, Big E, and Cody Rhodes being in the top 10 is an absolute.
Add one more person. Who's number 8?
Vikingo.
Yeah, add him.
Yeah. Yeah. So
he's great, but like, what? They don't care about the like. The only reason why he's rated, the only reason why he's there, because he's mega champion, and they don't even care about belts in Mexico, or at least in AAA. So, what are we doing?
Like Gresham was inactive for a huge period. He generated nothing business wise. His promotion, Terminus, I don't even believe he was winning matches in it. He dropped the Ring of Honor title as soon as like possible. With the promotion he was in, and he wasn't really impressive or anything in his AEW appearances. The Final Battle show, like, I don't know if that's enough for a top 10 ranking. I think that's a really bad ranking.
Compared to who's not in the top 10, yeah.
Yes, and we'll get to that in a minute. Big E, we know the amount of losses and losing for a guy that hasn't wrestled since January, James.
Right.
What is he doing on this?
People
list?
feel bad for him, and obviously there's a reason to feel bad for him. But if you're trying to do the list objectively, he missed a certain amount of time, which is no fault of his own because something tragic happened to him. Absolutely,
right. But number 9.
But his resume is his resume.
Right.
And it wasn't gonna get better.
Right. But number 9, like,
right.
there's no way in hell he should be at number 9. If you talk about someone that hasn't worked since the end of January, got completely dominated as a champion win-loss wise,
right.
Dropped the belt to Brock Lesnar in just hilarious fashion. They beat him over and over and told you he was a second-class world champion. I thought wins and losses mattered in PWI. Apparently not. Vikingo, I think that's dopey lucha pick, and leave it at that.
Which is weird because like that wasn't. I don't recall. I have to look through, but I don't recall any like, you know, any other champion like from Mexico like being high like this. And like we also know this, Rich. A lot more people in America watch Puro and even Joshi than they do Lucha Libre. So it's like, how do you come up with this list? Like as far
check
as
this out,
it was weird. It's weird.
I'm looking at the top 50, right? I can't even see another Mexican. Oh, excuse me. The only other Mexican wrestler it looks like is Psycho Clown at number 41. Oh, excuse me. There's also Bandito. Okay, at 31. Okay, so I was gonna be like,
Rich,
hold on.
Who's the actual top star in AAA?
Psycho Clown.
All right then. And what number was Psycho Clown?
41.
41 and 8.
Now, Cody Rhodes. I haven't talked about Cody in what seems to be a long time here.
He's been off air.
He's been off air, exactly. And also, we are talking about July of last year,
right,
through June of this year.
You're right, which means he only was around from the start of the date of the period. He may have left, had one of his like absences in AEW, came back, left it at the beginning of January,
disappeared for months and months,
showed up at WrestleMania this year, and then 2 months later was off TV.
What are we doing here?
He never won a title. He never won a Money in the Bank. He never won a Royal Rumble.
He won the TNT title and immediately lost it.
Right. Like, I forgot how long the date was, but like, it doesn't make any, like, so basically you're putting him in the top 10 based off of 2 great months in WWE where he never won anything of significance.
In 3 matches.
And I'm not knocking him because 2 months was great, right? Like, but it was still 2 months nonetheless. So like, that,
like at number
out of
6.
12 months.
So, and we think about how uneven, and this is supposed to be a kayfabe thing, right?
Right.
How uneven he was in kayfabe in AEW. So it's like, what part of this are you rewarding? That's what I want to know.
Well, even that, like, he was a champ. He was the champion of the. He's the champion of the secondary men's title. For how long was it? He won it. He won it at the end of December, right?
Yeah.
And then he lost it. What, like 14, 15, 3 weeks? Was it 3 weeks?
Like he missed a couple weeks with COVID jail. I think it was essentially the end of January, and then
did he win it? Did he win it at Winter's Coming or?
No, he won it on Rampage Christmas night.
Okay, so he won it on Christmas. He lost it before like President's Day and got the company.
Right.
And then he showed up for 2 months in WWE. Like that doesn't scream top 10 to me.
Yeah, that's really bad. Like, I don't know whether Gresham or his is worse, but I'm looking at both of those like. And this isn't traditional. Rich Latta doesn't dig Cody Rhodes, Jonathan Gresham. This is like. This holds up to no scrutiny, especially when you talk about number 11, Shingo Takagi, who main evented Wrestle Kingdom, albeit in a loss, right? Who was the IWGP champion for most of the period last year in 2021, right? Who had all those great matches, put New Japan on his back, right? Mm-hmm. John Moxley, how about that guy? Like who never gets pinned, who missed a few, like a month and a half, maybe. How long did he miss at the end of last year? Okay. He was gone for 12 weeks, right? And then he came back January through the end of June, won the tournament again, main evented pay-per-view, was on TV winning left and right, and basically is in the driver's seat for Flair Thesz right now, right?
Yeah.
And him being at 12 behind Jonathan Gresham is an absolute joke. Behind Big E, joke. Behind Cody, joke. Behind Danielson, I don't know. Danielson has a lot to, he's taking some big losses in that period.
Yeah,
but he took they were only to the best of the best. Right. So, you want to start talking about Lashley? Like, I don't really have a problem with Lashley. They were pushing him to a big extent.
Lashley is absolutely deserving of a top 8-5 spot, whatever you want to. So I have nothing to say bad about Lashley. His spot is one of those that are actually earned in the kayfabe sense from PWI's perspective. So I ain't got nothing to say on Lashley. Have no notes. They did right. Yep. WWE did all the right things with Lashley. Yep. Same thing with Roman. Like those guys, we talking about these kayfabe sense. They're absolutely there in the top 5. Argue whoever you want to. You know what this is. If you're going through PWI, you know that like guys like that are going to be way up there. So, but like once you get below that, it's like, okay, it's looking kind of weird.
It's funny. Matt Cardona at 13 over the likes.
He's one spot in front of Moxley.
Or behind Moxley.
Oh, behind. Okay, yeah.
Then there's Josh Alexander, and then ahead of Hiroshi Tanahashi, ahead of MJF, ahead of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins being at 17 is kind of weird because all he does is lose matches. So once again, I thought this was
he's 2-10 or something like that in like in the evaluation period.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, I thought this was PWI. I thought this had to do with wins and losses in kayfabe. Oh, it doesn't. It's just WWE. Just let us know that.
And then, like, to be fair, like, he had the great feud with Cody. He lost all of them, but but that was for a purpose. But like when you go through his resume, it's like, oh, okay, like he went 2-10 in the year on pay-per-view in big matches. One of the wins is like he won on DQ because Roman Reigns choked the life out of him and wouldn't let go.
Like, how was he in front of Chris Jericho?
I wouldn't put him in front of Jericho.
That's bad. He's in front of Adam Cole as well. He's in front of Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega laid it at 19, right? I
don't necessarily mind the Adam Cole thing because, Cole was in NXT, and then he went to AEW, and then he went to AEW, like, he was hot for the, to build him up to get to Revolution, and then they started using him as a vehicle to as a condom for AEW and Forbidden Door. So I don't really, it doesn't really bother me as much. But yeah, there's a lot of weird things. I honestly quite think you look at it from a kayfabe perspective, this seems like a really down year.
It does.
Even while we're agreeing about some of the stuff, like some of the stuff, like just in general speaking, like compared to like, let's say the, like last year.
I feel like Roman had a stronger case last year. Like, and then like he kind of
when he lost to Kenny.
Yeah, when he just kind of gets this one, almost like he backdoors.
The field was less. It was less. Yeah, the field was less difficult. Yeah.
MJF barely wrestles, so he's 16.
Yeah, right.
Kenny missed most of the marking period. He ended up with a 19 kind of dopey rating, but I'm not complaining about that.
How many months did he wrestle in the period? If it's July, August, September. July, August, September. October, no, like 5 months out of the 12. Like, yeah, man, it's 4.5 months out of that's. Well, I don't even know what you do with Kenny Omega. So like whatever rating he got is kind of like.
Yep, and then Drew McIntyre's 20. So Jay White 23. Other egregious things I see: Braun Breaker over Will Ospreay and Sammy Guevara. So Sammy Guevara's.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
So Sammy Guevara's TNT title wins and defenses don't count.
I'm not. I didn't even think about the Guevara thing. I was talking about Ospreay. Okay. So
Will Ospreay 27.
Okay. Has Braun Breaker ever performed in front of more than 5,000 people?
No.
What's there to talk about then? You know what I'm saying? Like, they send friends and family to the show now, to the PC or wherever they're doing it now. They don't even bring in like the fan, like the 400 used to come in and get the tickets all the goddamn time for tapings anymore, like it was 7 years ago. Like, it's friends and family that's cheering for these matches.
Yeah. And I know
what did they do for the one that they did WrestleMania weekend? What it was like? Was it 3,000 or 4,000 people for that takeover?
I think it was like 3,000.
Yeah,
3,500.
Right,
maybe.
Right. 4 years ago, they were doing 15,000 people at these shows. Why are we putting? What was it? Where was he ranked?
He was ranked 26th.
Why is he in the top 30? In kayfabe. He's a developmental champion.
I have nothing for you on that.
He's a developmental champion, and while the developmental is ice cold. The brand
and he lost, and he lost matches at those. Like, he lost to
Ziggler. That's right.
He lost to Ziggler. I know he won it back, but he lost to Ziggler. Like, that's
where was Ziggler ranked?
He is not in the top 50. So, I'm looking at other stuff they have. I know the common thing will be, well, make your own list. Like, that's what they like to say, right? I'm like, well, how about y'all do the list better? Like, because that's y'all's job. Like, and if we can read a list and be like, oh, okay, there's like one or two things that just are kind of weird, but like when you add all these things up, it looks like, all right, what was the agenda here?
Right. I don't remember last year's thing. Like, obviously, these lists are always going to be, people have biases, what have you, especially when it comes in regard to the criteria, because you can bend the criteria to mean whatever you want it to mean from year to year. It's much like like a sports league MVP debate. But I don't remember last year, like, feeling like there was this many, like, weird things in the top 10. Maybe it was because it was a stronger year, kayfabe-wise, for all the people, and they were healthier. Because, you know, like, AEW got kicked in the teeth at the beginning of the year as far as injuries. So, like, people like you mentioned, Cole, Danielson, Punk, Omega, like, all of them had, you know, people that would have been in there, but they were all, like, missed time in the first half of the year. So that definitely is people that were missed from the equation. But, and even Cody, when Cody missed the time going from AEW to WWE, and then the pec tear. So, like, yeah, next year, when we're going to see Cody in there, we'll see, you know, Danielson, we'll see Omega, whatever else, we'll look at it and be like, oh, this makes a lot more sense. And then you won't see, like, things that look odd, like Vikingo in the top 10, or someone that's a you know, someone that's a champion in Impact being in the top 10. That just won't happen in a normal year. Like, so it's just weird.
Jonathan Gresham over Shingo is like, someone should be arrested for that. Like, I don't like.
I think like at this point, like,
jail.
Also at this point, I know there's a PWI 150 for women, but like, at what point do they unleash the women on here to make this thing more sense? Because I'm looking at this top 10, I'm like, all right, man, I'm looking at this top 10. Why the fuck can't you just break the glass, put Bianca Belair in here to make your list look more reputable? Because like, it makes no sense. Does it make sense to you to see Jonathan Gresham or Cody for basically like 3.5 months worth of really good work, like being on here instead of Bianca Belair? That's weird. I just find it to be weird.
Yeah, and they have women on the list, but they're only women that do intergender, so they can actually compete against other people on the list for the spots. I guess that's their logic behind it. And
so who's on there? Allie Cash and who else?
Trisha Dora, always there. So
okay.
Let's see. I believe
she was hanging out with was it Miyu Yamashita? I saw him on Twitter hanging out, I think. She was with somebody that was over here right now. It wasn't Jungle, I don't think. You know Jungle's over here right now. I think she wrestled this weekend against Maya Yuki. I think was it Deadlock? Whatever. We're digressing. But yeah, it's a strange list. The only thing I really agree with is number 1. Everything else is kind of up for grabs. Like, I think Lashley, where he landed, was fine. Okada, that was kind of odd because of how cold, like, New Japan is for Western fans. Like, I know he won, you know, the 2 main events of Wrestle Kingdom. Maybe that's what he's like, you know, same thing, kind of similar to when we, you know, almost like, except for like 1 year of late, or last couple years of late, like
won a G1.
Yeah, that too. Like, you know, it's pretty much like in a lot, like if you win the WrestleMania main event, like you get number 1 on this list almost like 9 times out of 10. Mm-hmm. Maybe like that's what put him over the top for Wrestle Kingdom. Is like won both nights of Wrestle Kingdom, also won the G1. He's number 2. Punk got hurt. Omega got hurt. Danielson got hurt. Moxley was away. Cole got hurt. We're out of options.
They're like, we can't give it to. We're not giving it to this. No, we're not giving it to this Japanese guy in the down year, even though he has all the winning that you would want on this thing. So it's like, you know, I implore people to take a look at that criteria that they put out and tell me they didn't write that specifically so they could make number 1 the way it was. Like, I'd never heard of that like 10 match thing ever, like, in there. So but moving forward, we have the AEW Grand Slam shows. This was a banner week in AEW history.
Brewhaven's a miss in our chats, man. This man put up Allie Catch greater than Bianca Belair.
Woo! No.
Look, man, do you see what I'm wearing right now? Why is it whenever I wear this, I get disrespected? Like, what the fuck is going on, man? Like, you know the last time I wore this shirt, Rich?
Nah.
You know what? You remember you know.
Oh, yeah, SummerSlam 2021?
Yes, that's the last time I've worn that fucking shirt. Why must I get disrespected every time I wear this shirt? Y'all ain't got no love for Bianca Belair in this bitch? Yeah, man. Where are we going now? Where are we going?
We're going to Grand Slam.
Okay.
And a great week in AEW. Both shows pretty like awesome matches up and down the card on both. I kind of like had more fun kind of watching the Rampage show. I was a little bit more into that one, and but I really like the Wednesday show too. So we can start there. The Ring of Honor World Championship match, and James, you already know what it is. Ring of Jericho. Honor is Jericho. The Ocho. 8 of them.
Oh, man.
Chris Jericho is your new Ring of Honor champion. Beats Claudio Castagnoli in a really good match. Crowd goes nuts for the finish. I saw some people upset about Jericho winning this title. They were sending out absurd memes on the timeline, just pissed, not thinking it through, on how good like Jericho's been doing, like how good of a job he's been doing this year. Why this like makes perfect storyline sense. And I really think they're going to do the Daniel Garcia and Jericho for the ROH title at some point. And then Garcia is going to like take that picture reminiscent of Bryan Danielson, where he has the ROH Pure title on one shoulder and the ROH World title on the other shoulder. I think that's going to happen. And I'm really into the Jericho Garcia aspect of it. There's obviously the dopey Jericho wins the dead Ring of Honor title. I don't care about the Ring of Honor title, whatever. It's like they had Jericho do some pretty high profile losses in the past like month or so. They had him lose to Moxley and lose to Danielson. So they had to do something for him here. And I think that it's a great option because it's a way to like reward him for an awesome year. If you weren't going to put the world title on him, you can put that other belt on him. And also like, Claudio wasn't lighting the world on fire as the ROH champion. Like he was doing a good job. He was fine. He was fine. But this like we're not talking about Kensuke Kobashi getting cut off at the knees here. We're not talking about Kazuchika Okada getting cut off at the knees here. Like whatever, he can drop the shit. He can win it back. Like it's the ROH belt.
Like what I don't get is the last time Chris Jericho was a world champion, it helped launch AEW, and he is now like I remember I made this analogy at the start. Who did Bruno beat for the belt?
He beat Buddy Rogers.
He's the Buddy Rogers of AEW, right? Ring of Honor is a company that Tony Khan or the Khans also own. And like they do an occasional pay-per-view that draws like 4,000 people. And like at the top of it was Cesaro taking the belt off Gresham. What do you think the pay-per-view buy rate will be when Jericho's in the main event in some big program for that, and then it's underlined with like the guys you already see kind of regularly on AEW in the pure division, like Moriarty and Garcia and Yuta, and then you have FTR there, whatever else. Like this is going to increase the buy rate. And also give more spotlight to like the people that you don't already know in Ring of Honor if they build someone up in that particular in the TV time frame they have to do it or whatever else. So I don't understand why this is such a bad idea considering it was like they just had the belt on someone that was in their late 30s. And like Chris Jericho is more valuable and can still give. He's not as good a wrestler as Claudio is at this stage, but like he can still give you more from the perspective of like everything outside of the ring that leads to the whole package of storyline build, credibility with fans, blah 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 blah, overness, da 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 da. Still put on a quality match in main event, and still probably have a better buy rate. Like I don't know. Look, I love Claudio. Look, I love Claudio. I love Jericho too. If I had to start a promotion from scratch right now, this very second, I'm drafting Chris Jericho before I'm drafting Claudio. No disrespect to Claudio, but like Chris Jericho is like in this country at least one of the 8 most valuable people in pro wrestling still, probably.
Yeah.
Claudio was never that.
Yeah, I think as far as the match goes, like I thought they put together like, you know, a real solid match. Like they were working with each other like very well, and just I think the lighting around this looked great. It was the start of the show, so it had like this haze over the audience. It was outdoors. It was shot beautiful. What it
reminded me of? It reminded me of, like, you see like those old pictures of the 80s and 90s, and like you would see like Sports Illustrated pictures of people on the hardwood, and like the background looks like smoggy, like there's a smoker section. So seeing those lights, and it was like, why does it look ashy in the background? What the fuck is going on? And I realized, like, oh, they're lighting it that way. Why would they go with that choice? I heard people loved it, and I was like, nah, I'd rather see like the blue wave or the red wave that they normally have, or lights down, whatever. But it did. I mean, I gotta say, while we go through this, like, I don't know how to handle it, but as far as feel anyway, in a big arena, like when they're in the Forum, like when they're in the Forum or they're in Arthur Ashe, it feels like WrestleMania. It feels and looks like WrestleMania as far as like they're in this big setting, or Clash of the at the Castle, or SummerSlam in the football arena. It just feels gigantic. The building. I don't know how they, I don't know how, obviously, because, same thing with SummerSlam this year. Like, the building's not completely filled. They're obviously putting people on one side of the building and make it look like that, but it looks fucking packed and amazing. And they do an amazing job, AEW, NWE, like when they do these gigantic buildings, and maybe it is mostly filled, or maybe sometimes it's not. But like when they put everybody on one side, you can't feel, outside of like knowing that like you can't shoot a certain direction, right? Like you can't shoot like, it's more like, it looks like more like it's blocked like a stage or whatever else. It just looks like, the way it's shot, like it just looks gigantic. It does.
Yeah. But yeah, like, Jericho wins after, a dick kick. He did adhere to the code of honor at the beginning.
He was such a troll on Rampage after talking about like how he's all this honorable stuff, and it's like, bro, you just won the title with a dick kick. You're an asshole.
I love it. Kerry Silken got involved, and I have no idea what the fuck that was. Yeah. But he threw him down, wins off the juice effect. And Jericho's a champion. So yeah, shout out to Chris Jericho. And never count out Chris Jericho.
Yeah, and like this match was way better than the Danielson first match that he had on the pay-per-view. And it's like two matches since then, he is basically like redeemed aside for that underwhelming match. So yeah, like he's a great like sleeper pick for Flair Thaz this year.
Hey, you've arrived. I see with me here.
I mean, I was always with you. I just knew that, like, in front of Moxley or someone like, even like an Okada at this point, because of the G1 and the title win and the Wrestle Kingdom stuff and like the Naito feud, like, just generally speaking, as far as like still being the face of that company, still being on top, still like just top level match quality. And always continuing a feud with a huge rival. Like, I thought Okada had a great 2022. But like, as far as like, because of JAS versus like Kingston / BCC like being such a creative force for WWE for AEW this year, it's like, and then now he's a world champion, obviously Ring of Honor, but it's like he's had these great big profile matches. He had a great feud with Kingston. Continuing this whole year thing with the Garcia stuff with Danielson, continuing with the Danielson stuff. Like, he's had a great year. And I think because people are still pissed about him being Kingston at one time. People are still pissed about that. And it's like, well, there's no MJF here for right now for these months. So, like, someone has to be the top heel.
Yeah.
Kingston is not the top babyface. I'm sorry, it's Jon Moxley. What do you do when he faces Jon Moxley? Oh, he lost? Okay. Or when he faced Danielson? Oh, he lost? Okay.
Yeah. So up next,
if the top heel can't beat like the number 5 or 4 babyface, and like, what's the point of even having heels? Just turn the shit to Stardom. And I don't mean that in no bad way, because Stardom's kicking ass. Stardom's the number 2 promotion in the world right now, as far as like consistent quality. But my point is, like, either you're going to get some heat, sometimes you pay off some stuff, or just never get heat ever.
Yeah. So we got a video package to air up to hype up the main event, which was Danielson and Moxley.
Quick question. Am I a sucker for still thinking that Kingston's going to get back to Jericho?
No.
I still want Kingston to get that win back eventually, just eventually. Like, you had to give him something for now, and then he can come back to it.
He could like challenge him for the ROH title, and then like that'd be the.
God damn it, Rich! He done drove me back in. Bring on it, baby. Let's go.
Like that could be like where it leads if it's not the Garcia thing.
I can see,
and look at that with Chris Jericho. You have multiple great options. Look at that,
bro. I can look. The tears some of these ne'er-do-wells are going to cry when Kingston becomes a world champion because it's the Ring of Honor title. Oh, it's going to be great. Let's start that agenda. Eddie Kingston Ring of Honor world champion. Let's go.
I mean, he could win it in Newark, New Jersey. You never know.
Oh, let's go. Let's do this.
So we got the AEW World Tag Team title, Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed. And James, we were wrong. Last week we picked Swerve in Our Glory to retain. Thought it would be a superior option going forward, but
we were right in those regards.
Yeah. As far as like, sometimes you just gotta go with what the crowd's giving you, and like the Acclaim's over as fuck. And it was their time to get it. It was a really feel good moment. I think Max smoked his verse. Like he didn't try to do too much. He was like efficient. I could tell he was. I could tell his heart was beating out of his chest, but he was trying to hold it together, and just make sure he executed the lines. Swerve and Keith Lee come out with Fab. And Acclaim come out with Who Kid.
And a ski mask, so you can tell it was Who Kid, except for the announcement it was Who Kid.
Yes.
He must. How much wrestling does he know?
Who? DJ Who Kid? Not sure.
You kind of gotta. So no one's smarting him up on that one. It's like, bro, this is your time. You're on national television. You have been on national. Like, we don't know the last time you were on national television. Take off the fucking ski mask. I understand it. Was it Louis?
I believe it was.
Yeah, I know. Status symbol. I get it. You know what else is a better status symbol?
Your smile.
The national television catching your face, fool. I don't know. Whatever. Like,
so, they come up with Fab. I'm like, Fab's the reason I started rapping. So I'm seeing this. I'm like, yeah, this is hitting for me right here. Like, you got Swerve out there with Fab. I had no idea this was happening. Mm-hmm. They're in the Knicks colors, so that was pretty funny. I was privy to the gear about a day ahead of time. I was like, ooh, that's tough.
Think of it like this, right? They were in New York in blue and orange. So not only is that Knicks colors, that's Islander colors, and that's Mets colors. And they were in Queens. They still got booed by them fucking Queens fans. They didn't give a fuck about that. Mets, boo, look, boo. We do not care.
This is fresh off the morning of Swerve in Our Glory showing up to the school with the children, giving hope to the youth, letting them hold the championships. It just creating a really nice moment for all time at this point. Like, they've always got that video now. Like that looked really cool. But as far as the match goes,
before we get to the match, when you said show it up to the school as a symbol of hope, you know what I thought about, right?
What?
Do you remember when R. Kelly did the Batman?
God damn it!
Song, did the Batman song, like Gotham City, but the remix, and his remix was like this fucking. Look, man, there's nothing funnier. I'm sorry for digressing. I'm sorry. R. Kelly is a horrible human being. There's no buts, ands, or transition. That's a period, and I'm going to move on. This fool, while being a terrible human being, has made some of the most funny, hysterically outrageous, outlandish music videos in the history of the medium. Because he's so goddamn ignorant. Like, this man did the throwing video, and like, there's a sample of a woman and she's speaking in a language that, I don't know if it's Japanese or Chinese, but in the music video, he is blending Chinese and Japanese cultures and appropriating those together interchangeably, and it's fucking hilarious because of how ignorant this fool is, especially now we know that, like, this man may or may not have ever been able to read, so how would he have ever learned this stuff?
Yes.
But
and he would wear those jerseys that don't exist.
Yes, he had fraudulent throwbacks. Those are not Michelin Odessa approved
football jerseys, and
those are
like
not hardwood classics. No.
Who made this?
Yeah.
Who sold this to you?
Yeah. You made them.
Where are the copyrights?
Yeah, okay. So aside from all of that, back in the 90s for the Schumacher Batman films, he did the Gotham City song. This is like basically like off the back of I Believe I Can Fly for Space Jam. So everybody was like, this is a go-to guy for the big
we need R. Kelly.
big anthemic, soundtrack song or whatever else, right? Back when they gave fuck about soundtracks as opposed to just throwing anything on licensing. So they did that song, and then he did a remix. And in the remix, I don't know if it's available in this country. In the remix, he drives through like the streets of some city, presumably Chicago, and like he's in like the Joel Schumacher version of the Batmobile, and like me and Rich in the video will talk about how fucking ridiculous this video was, and we always say like this man pulled up in the Batmobile to the hood as a symbol of hope.
Gotham City in the ghetto.
Yeah, oh my god. It's such a fucking ridiculous music video, and everything with R. Kelly is fucking ridiculous and horrible. Let's just move on. I'm sorry if derailed it to mention it, but once he said symbol of hope, like I just couldn't stop. I couldn't stop myself. I'm sorry. Let's get back to the really scheduled programming. We were talking about the next match at Rampage, not Rampage, Dynamite.
Swerve in Our Glory and the Acclaimed. Acclaim win the titles. This is another good match of theirs. I don't think it's on the level of the pay-per-view match, but I probably go like four stars on it. And
that was weird. I thought like 4, and then I looked at Cage Match, and people were like on some 3 and 3 almost, and I was like, that's interesting.
But this just gave everyone what they wanted. I think Swerve was excellent in this match. And they really like put these guys over in style. And, the Acclaim didn't really do anything to get back to this match except have a great match last time and be really over for the whole summer. This has really been these guys like came from the muck, like of getting put together on AEW Dark, just as randos, and dropped with the nickname The Acclaim, and they were like, yo, y'all figure it out. And they've like over 2 years really risen from the bottom to the top, and they did it in not through like dozens of like, critically acclaimed matches, and no pun intended, but they've really got their personalities over, they've got the entrances over, they've got their segments over, and I think we'll be able to look back on them and the Ass Boys as like a turning point moment for the Acclaim, while Swerve in Our Glory was in a parallel universe kind of doing their things and winning the titles. Underneath them, like the Acclaim was creating like this groundswell where they were just as over the whole time, but it really didn't click to people until they were in there together. So I really enjoyed this feud and the promos that they did with it. And just seeing, all these brothers, do their thing. And these guys all come from different walks of life. These guys all have different like ideas of wrestling, and it was really cool to see, like, it just felt like a celebration. Like, and I know they had the crazy celebration after the match and everything like that, but
yeah, they shot off the confetti. Yeah,
I was just as happy for like Swerve and Lee that they got to like lose to the Acclaim, because like the Acclaim, like, they're not going to be anybody's like favorite like workers or anything like that, but like just when it comes to like being over and like having fun when they come out, like these guys are fucking awesome too. So yeah, that's all I got really to say on that.
I mentioned it, well, I would say I mentioned, like, I just found out the answer. Like, so they're going to do Ass Boys versus FTR as almost like a de facto number one contender thing. And I don't know, man. Like, you almost have to have the Ass Boys beat FTR, which is like, I think it's dumb. But then you have to do FTR versus, then you have to do Ass Boys versus the Acclaim. And I'm like, do people actually want to really see that, or do they just want to cheer the Acclaim and say the Ass Boys suck? Like, because I mean, I guess if it does well, it doesn't really matter. But like, I wonder, like, could you actually get a whole real life like feud to go through a pay-per-view cycle, or based around Billy Kid's sons hating like his black surrogate sons. Like I don't know. I don't know. But then is like, then if like, cause like you can't have FTR win, cause then if you have FTR win, then you get to think of, they already have 4 belts, even though they never defend them. They never have 4 belts. They're going to take them off FTR. And it's like, I don't want to hear that shit for FTR, cause you know, that will ruin their mind state, because they already, you know, they thrive off negativity and think people don't like them anyway. So like, that's an L they're walking into when they're like, they just turn babyface like the first time ever. Earlier this year. So like, if I were them, I'd be like, look, FTR, keep you away from that. That's not a good look for you.
It's not.
Let's bring in, Bishamon to challenge y'all or some shit. I don't know. But like, they can't be out here. They can't be the ones to take the belt off FTR or off the Acclaimed. I think that will not go well for them. Because they can't talk themselves out of that situation, I don't think.
Yeah, and I just kind of, I might as well start the agenda now. Like, Swerve and Our Glory Tag Team of the Year. I
can't go there with you. I think at best they're the third best. They've had the third best tag team run this year at best. Like, I still think still think the Young Bucks top 4 or 5 matches and FTR's top 4 or 5 matches are still better than Swerve and Our Glory's best 5 matches, personally. So I can't go there with you. But they will finish, I know they've done more than the Usos have. Even for all the 2 belt shit or whatever else, like, they're, not the Usos. The Usos should finish in the top 5. Should finish the top 5.
Yeah, I just hope that
if I had to vote for,
I hope for FTR's sake they get
top 5.
I hope for FTR's sake they get to have some of these matches on a large platform, because I don't know. As far as visibility, like Swerve and Our Glory took a lot of advantage of this summer. So,
where was the FTR? Where was FTR Young Bucks 2 at? Was that on? Was that in?
That was on Dynamite.
That was on Dynamite. Yeah, like that's the best tag match that's been on television this year. So, am I forgetting something?
There's Young Bucks and Lucha Bros on Rampage.
That's the only other thing. Okay, so that was the only other thing that's in the discussion. I think I take the FTR one. Well, I have to go back over and watch both of them. They were both like in that like 4 3/4 range or whatever else for me. So like those are 2 of the 20 best matches I've seen this year.
Yep. So the Acclaimed have the belts. So after that, the Ass Boys put FTR in a blender backstage, just completely like stunned on them, and it like the FTR just like were sitting there. It was just like, oh, we have nothing to say.
Well, it was a segment to actually get them credibility as jerks, like because you look at them and like, oh, they're annoying jerks. Another one is like, oh, I don't like FTR, so they cooked them. Like it wasn't like they were saying hysterical things. Yeah, they're gonna have a thing. We'll see how that goes. Like, Ass Boys better bring it, because if they don't bring it, I'm gonna be like, hey, bro, I remember a FTR match versus Brock Anderson and Lee Johnson, and like they were out there cooking for the like 7 minutes they got. If the Ass Boys, if the Ass Boys can't bring that to the table except for being Billy Gunn's sons and like bring in some other sons in.
So we had a segment after that, and Shivani was in the entrance, and he basically was out there with Wheeler Yuta. He asked him about the BCC teammates, Mox Danielson, competing for the title in the main event. Before he can say anything, he was interrupted by MJF. So MJF comes out, and this crowd fucking acts like Jesus is back. Ironically, a man playing the devil. The fans like chant his name, and he says, the fans worship the ground he walks on. That makes them his loyal devil worshippers. He asks Shivani, the fat old prick, how he's doing, and he brings up Yuta standing there in shock because of the great reaction he saw MJF get. He So he'll never get tired of that reaction. Calls him a mid-carder, says the crowd worships him. There isn't a single fan who wouldn't let him sleep with their wife. Yes, called them all cuckolds, noting that the only reason he doesn't do that is because he has standards. He calls himself a generational talent. Yuta tells MJF, what he says has some truth to it. Says he's got more catchphrases than anyone, and he's the king of low-hanging fruit. Speaking of which, someone got engaged recently. MJF kind of like, his eyes raised, like almost like, what you doing? He tells MJF not to worry because he's not as low as him and won't go there. He says MJF soon to be wife.
MJF proceeded to do what? Go right back to low hanging fruit, thereby proving Yuta's point. It was actually a pretty good promo from Yuta. And then I think MJF then was like, "Oh my God, you have a character. You can actually say some things," and then proceeded to bury him more. And I was like,
bro,
damn, MJF.
I felt like Yuta was verbally disabled. Like going against MJF here was like, damn.
Delivery was well, his voice was like
shaky.
How do I say this? He's soft spoken, but like his delivery wasn't like it was awful. It wasn't like but it wasn't exactly like he kind of blew his way the way that like Jungle Boy did that one time. But yeah, it was all right. And then like MJF completely cut his knees from me. He was like, oh, like. Great.
Said he can't.
What happened to all the talk about you're a student of the game and you do all this stuff like the fucking 70s and 80s? Because that's not what they did in the 70s and 80s, but not without someone getting, fought over backstage. But whatever, man.
Said the real reason he came out was to wish the men in the Blackpool Cuckold Club good luck in their showdown for the title later tonight. Says they're really just fighting to see who's going to lose to MJF. Said he basically said you don't want to learn anything from Danielson because there's a teach how to get concussed. I think he said about Moxley, you can't learn anything from that guy. Like, why even try? And Regal, he'll just teach you how to pop pills. And then Yuta fires on him after that, and then MJF fights him back, hits Shivani, kind of attacks Shivani. Yuta saves him, but then W. Morrissey comes out, chokes him out, and I think there's some blood here, if I'm not mistaken. But Morrissey and MJF walk out.
Who's bleeding?
I think Yuta may have been bleeding slightly over the eyebrow. I'm not sure, but
okay, I must have missed that.
Yeah. After that, we got the All Atlantic Championship match: Orange Cassidy versus Pac, and this was
it was just very good as opposed to basically a classic. The last time they had a match. Yeah, it was a strange match. Because it was like they're doing the stuff of like playing off of the match they already had, but so much of the match is like you underestimating Orange Cassidy. And it's like we're way past that. It's got to be evolution of what they do. It is more based like evolution of just their feud as opposed to the evolution of Orange Cassidy or whatever else. At this point is like, I mean, at some point. We gotta have a dynamic to where like he's not just like you go into it and think he's a joke. Like he's had he had a match with Pac, he had the triple threat match with Pac in Omega. He had the most competitive match that Warlow's pretty much has ever had for the TNT title this year. Like we're kind of past this. Yeah, so I don't know. I would never expect them to have a match only at this level. I was underwhelmed, very much underwhelmed.
Yeah, I felt like it was like this was being grounded to a halt. Like this was very slow pace. Pac ends up cheating to win, so I don't know if this was a heel turn or something like that, but he definitely hits the man with the ring bell thing to win. So be on the lookout for that, I guess. But yeah.
And then I was thinking, like, okay, he's turning heel to set up for him to defend against who?
You would think Orange Cassidy. Like this should be
Is he going to get a rematch?
Yeah, I would think this would be like, this could be like, oh yeah, Orange Cassidy going to win the championship from him or something.
Okay, he's getting a little Orange closer. Cassidy becomes the not the United States, the Mid-Atlantic champion. Where is he going overseas to defend it at?
He's got to go to DDT.
For fuck's sake.
It's got to go to DDT.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Orange Cassidy go anywhere.
Rich, how many weeks ago did they tease that they were going to give us Pac in Omega? I'm not sorry, Ospreay and Pac. How many weeks ago was that? Was that a month ago? What was the G1 final? Mid August, right?
Yeah, that was like mid August.
So okay, so like 5 weeks ago. Let's say 5 weeks ago, they teased us that.
I don't know how they would have done that because like Will's still a champion too. So,
well, the idea is you have Ospreay become the mid lane champion or all lane champion. Anyway, that's not his point. They teased us with that on New Japan Pro Wrestling and on All Elite Wrestling Television. The idea that they're going to go from that to Orange Cassidy is going to visit DDT.
Oh, I just made that up. I don't. I don't think that's.
You know how fucking infuriating and insulting that is to me. I feel. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Like, look, man. I know. Tetsuya Endo. I know. Tenosuke Takeshita. Junior Akiyama. I know.
Speaking of that,
I know.
Takeshi's on his way back in October.
Unless it was to get it to Takeshita, I don't give a fuck. Like, you know, like obviously you're joking about all this, but I'm just thinking like, are you like that? Yeah, that can't be what's up. That can't be what's happening. Anyway, I'm sorry. Let's continue on. What was next after the Orange Cassidy match?
AEW Interim Women's Championship match: Britt Baker versus Serena Deeb versus Athena versus Toni Storm. This was okay. You know.
It was a decent 4-way match.
I thought Athena looked great in this match.
I thought she shined the most in the match, definitely.
Definitely was getting a crowd reaction.
Yeah. Weirdly, or not weirdly, but like I don't know what happened, but Britt got her nose busted again.
Yes.
What was that off of? I forgot. In the middle of the match, I could just tell she busted her nose.
I believe Athena fell on her face somehow.
Okay. That sucks.
Yeah, Britt can't just like
she can't catch a break.
Yeah,
or all she does is actually catch breaks. But you get my point. Like, yeah. It's unfortunate what's happening. Like, broken nose, the knee thing with Nyla Rose was that 2 years ago. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah,
the Sheeta match in Georgia.
Yep, caught that nose
during
break.
The pandemic. Yeah, she's catching some hell in the last couple of years.
So. Toni Storm ends up getting the win. She wins with a roll up on Athena, and she retains the championship. Then there's a whole beat down. She basically attacks Toni Storm from behind. She beats Britt Baker, cleans the sheet. By the way, another clean job for Britt.
Yeah.
And then Britt clears them out along with Rebel, and Jamie Hayter comes out, and you think it's on between them, but it is not.
The same thing they did like a week ago, where it's like, come out, like Toni Storm's on the ground, tease like you're making a save for Toni Storm, I guess because like, I don't know, you both in the UK scene at some point, and then like you beat her up, and then Jamie helps beat her up again. It's like, we just did this last week. Why should I expect this? Like, I was watching, it's like, I don't expect you to save her. You just beat her ass last week with a chair. And then beat her again. It's like, was I supposed to be swerved here?
And then I guess the swerve is that she is cool with Britt again.
I guess. So it was Britt, Serena, Reba, and I'm sorry, Rebel. And is Reba Rebel? I keep fucking confusing it. And
So
she always talks about it's one but not the other one. Yeah, so Rebel. So it's Rebel and Britt and Jamie and Serena Deeb, it seems to have made up this heel faction. And so I'm like, okay, the Bayfair's getting beat down. Who's going to make the run in? And
start hearing some random song. I'm like, what's this? And then Flash. And I had made a joke. I was like, man, very excited for Sasha Banks to debut. And Arthur Ashe. It one of my group stats.
When I was watching it, I thought Sasha and Amy was coming out, and I thought it was they've been there for New York Fashion Week. I don't know if they left or whatever. I was like, are they going to come out? And then the music hits, and I'm like, that don't sound like some music they come out to. I like the song until I heard the lyrics for the song, and I'm like, oh, is this song about cancel culture? Get fucked. And then like fucking Soraya comes out, and I was like. Really?
Bro, and not just comes out. She comes out to like this fucking like this insane reaction.
Well, we always knew people liked her.
She is very popular. She has a huge fan base. I don't know how many of those people are already AEW fans, but probably a lot of them. She is obviously, the thing about her is the neck. We'll see where that's at. But she doesn't get physical with anybody. Huge reaction. Comes to the ring. People are going fucking nuts. Everybody clears out. Looks great. Like, she put it all together, and she shows up here and it's like, holy shit. And there's a lot of people that have never actually seen her wrestle. I was looking in the
she has to wrestle as well, like 2016?
18, I believe.
Really? I thought okay.
So it was like man, like, wow, this is like it's like, I believe she's 30 years old now, if I'm not mistaken. She was around when she was so young before. Yeah. So it was like she kind of went from this prodigy to like this woman that was surpassed by the people that, she opened up the lane for.
Yes, in retrospect, she was absolutely not a prodigy for what our expectations of women's wrestling at the time. Given our very short or closed off view, we thought she was. Going back and looking at it now,
I kind of figured it.
Goddamn project.
Yeah, I kind of figured it out quickly though, because like once they put that belt on her night one, and I saw her, she had like really nothing else to offer. I was like, oh, I see what's going on here. And then she was like, in the lineage of your Alexa Bliss.
She was
Paige. She was better than Alexa. Like AJ. Like it was all those type of like people were. She was one of the people that people were in love with. Let's just say that.
That is true.
So she's always had a really big fan base, and I always liked her kicks. Kind of like she was very physical and aggressive in the ring.
And when she came back as like the voice person for like was it not Retribution, Rebellion? What was it? What was the team that had Mandy? Absolution. Okay. Yeah, so like when she came back, when it was like she was a good promo there, and also she was a good promo when she started out with Kabuki Warriors, and then they obviously cut that off. So yeah, like she had like improved in aspects of her game that like didn't seem that was actually there when she was actually like around in her first run before she had the first like setback with her neck. So it's interesting to see, like, it was interesting to see her. I was happy to see her. And then I remember, oh yeah, like there's been so much bullshit around her and like who she's like been involved with of late as far as like their political viewpoints and weirdness. So it's like, oh yeah, like I remember I used to like this person, and then I basically like just closed that off because like I heard they're super problematic and I was left it alone. But like, I'm not here to step on anybody else's joy when they saw her, because like it got me at first. And then I started thinking about like, okay, so and then like just like you, like she didn't touch anybody. Is she actually cleared? What's she gonna do? And we'll see. We'll see what happens. But like,
she's on the records
if she can
page.
Do anything physical, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, like she is a certain level of star. I don't know exactly what that is in 2022 for her, and especially how she'll be deployed in this promotion. Like, just because like this is not their focus. But maybe this is a sign that they want to try something. But I would not gamble on it being her. Like, I think she can lend a small bit of name credibility to this, but this is a different day than when she was performing, and I don't think she just walks in immediately at the top of this place. So
nah, she has to lay some roots as far as like, and also like shit. It's a whole different game as far as like what's going to work in AEW in front of AEW crowd compared to what was working in the WWE crowd, 7 years ago. Yeah, it's a whole different game. And
I pray that they don't like send her and Britt Baker to the ring with a mic. Oh my God, that can get real ugly. So after that, Darby Allin is on a bus with a body bag.
Oh yeah. He's taking all through throughout the different public transportation places in New York City. I was like, bro, that's
Darby Allin looked like an old motherfucker you would see on a train at like 4:00 in the morning. Like, what is that guy doing? Like, face paint and all. Like, like that's just who's here right now. So after that, we got the tournament final, Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson, and this was a good match. I thought it would be better, but it was pretty physical, I would say.
You know about the main event?
Yeah.
You didn't like this match?
I thought it was like 4.25. Like I didn't go crazy over it.
I gave it 4.5. I love this match. To be honest with you.
There was a lot of cutting to MJF during this thing.
That fucking infuriated me, especially in the closing stretch. Like that kept just driving me nuts. They kept
but this match did not like have this special feeling. I didn't feel it coming through the screen on this one like I would have thought. But and I don't know if some of that is like, the overhang from, the belt having just the weird stink on it right now, minus the with the CM Punk stuff over the summer, the interim titles, I don't know. There was something that was missing for me here. But as far as like, the match, like I thought they kicked the shit out of each other. Like, so that was cool to see. I think a lot of people thought they were getting the coronation of Bryan Danielson. I did not. They've been heavily tipping Mox and MJF for weeks. I don't know what people were watching. If they were thinking that, but they were very hopeful.
When you have you looked at the cage match comments?
I have not. No.
It's a lot of people wanting Bryan to have won. It's a lot of it. I mean,
if you look at it like this, like if Moxley, obviously, there are pros and cons of Moxley winning. However, I think the pros do more for him than the cons take away from him. Like the cons, I think, are he looks like this second choice, kind of like to CM Punk, like he's always it's kind of like the Bret Hart syndrome, like where he has the belt when something goes wrong. They're always looking for someone to take it off of him, something like that, right? But the positive for it would be it basically sews up that year that tells us it wasn't for nothing. Like now he can get the belt, have a run, do whatever. But in Danielson's case, we kind of figure it's going to MJF anyway, right?
Right.
So it's like, why would you want to subject Bryan to like a 1 month reign? I don't know. And I don't see it. Like, I don't know. I'm not like, I don't feel like this was like this, like, I don't feel like he's riding this wave of momentum that was just like to be disappointed this hard by him losing this.
Well, they gave him the Shuri storyline. Like in short succession, they gave him the opportunity to basically make back even every single loss he's ever taken in the company. Like he beat Hangman Page, he beat Jericho after Jericho beat him like at the last pay-per-view just a few weeks before, and then he was going to face Moxley, and Moxley beat him at Revolution. They were going to give him the opportunity to do all of that, and they gave him that in basically like 2 weeks. So like in 2 weeks, and also all the matches were awesome. So like he built up tons of momentum to do that. So that's why I was like, and my head was saying, like, you're going to put it on Moxley because, like, you don't waste Danielson's first title run on being a transitional champion if you're ever going to belt him at all. He may not even want to ever do that again or do that for this company at this stage. And then, but if you're going to do it, you need more juice out to squeeze than just like, oh, we're taking this to the next pay-per-view and taking it off him for one cycle or less than one cycle from pay-per-view to pay-per-view. And like, it was like, okay, if you do it to Moxley, they already done this stuff. Like, Moxley was from night one after they had to vacate the belt. Like, they did Moxley going to face-to-face with MJF, letting you know, like, that's the next program. That's the next big thing. They didn't do that for nothing. So, my head was always saying Moxley, but my mind was like, same thing when they did, like, when Danielson had to fill in for Moxley at the end of last year for Winter is Coming, where they put him in there, or sorry, first Dynamite of the year against Hangman, or actually it's winter. It's winter's coming, and then the rematch at the first pay-per-view, first Dynamite of the year. But either way, it's like we're going to make it so convincing, or we're going to make Danielson so convincing that he's going to be next champion that like you're actually wondering if he's actually going to cut off some person before it's time to actually really cut them off, or before it really makes sense. And that's how good Danielson is. That's because he's fucking awesome. So I get, and I actually thought it was interesting because like either person they picked, I'd have been like, they've done everything to be a champion.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't mind it either one they went with. I just figured that's where they're going with was MJF and Moxley because of what the television programs have been the couple weeks leading up to it. With MJF with the chip and all that kind of stuff. So when I see other people upset about it, and like lower the match grade because they were expecting something else, I'm just like, well, was the match not good, or did they just not do the thing you wanted at the end? And now that says the match is bad because they went with one of the two good options. Like, it's weird to me. It's weird to me how people act like this.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
But I love the match, quite frankly. I liked it more than the match at Revolution that I was there in the building for. And like I now recognize this watching Rampage, but like they have mic'd the corners of the ring. That's where their directional mic is. Because when they were putting Danielson was putting Moxley in the corner and chopping, I was like,
sounding
those
off.
were the hardest fucking chops this side of like Walter or like Go that I've heard on television. What the hell is going on? Go Shiozaki. I was like, what the hell is going on? I don't remember Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson like chopping people like this before. What the fuck? And then I was like, and then I watched Rampage. I was like, oh, okay. They're clearly the mics are in the corners. That has to be what this is. But yeah, I thought, you know, Danielson pretty much played like the Moxley to Moxley's Tanahashi, whereas like he's beating his ass and Moxley has to fight underneath this bear that's on him and on him and on him. You just want to see the dude like get this shit to, you know, get some momentum going for him, and then like it gets, you know, towards even, and then they end up outside and he hits the freaking paradigm shift on the plexiglass. Like that plexiglass is not a friend of Danielson in AEW. That plexiglass at Grand Slam be kicking his ass in every match he's been in. He is 0 for 2 against that plexiglass. But he gets hit with the move, the finish on the like going to the finish. He gets hit outside with that paradigm shift. He basically rolls to the ring, and like Moxley has to crawl to get the cover, get into the ring, and then he hits him again and gets the win. I thought it was a great finish. I thought it was very like excellently like paced and built towards and everything, and like just I thought this is another like 4.5 star clinic that Danielson put on. To be honest with you, I love the match. It's one of my favorite. It's probably going to end up on my favorite like 10 AEW matches of the year. Like it's way up there for me.
So we ended up with Moxley as a champion, and going forward, they set up his next challenger on Rampage, which started off with Darby Allin and Sting teaming up to defeat the House of Black in a no disqualification match. This match was wild, to say the least.
Yeah, tons of high spots.
Just foolishness everywhere. Darby Allin pulling out the old Orpheum tricks, doing the goddamn the coffin drop from the top of the things on fucking Brody King, and like Sting diving off of everything, Darby getting thrown off of shit. This was nuts, and it all like kind of culminates with Sting being handcuffed. And then,
well, they lay out Darby at some point. They handcuff Sting. Darby makes a comeback. Darby and Brody King, they both basically dive off the stage through the table, so they're off the table. Buddy comes back in with a bat while Sting is still handcuffed. Sting starts laughing hysterically. Now, keep in mind, I watched the show today. I watched the show on Sunday, and I had somehow got spoiled that Muda had showed up, and but I didn't know in what capacity. But like, I'm watching the match, and then he sees handcuffed, and then, like, I see Sting's laughing while he's been placed in the chair while Buddy has Sting's band. I'm like, Muda's about to make a fucking save for Sting. This is ridiculous. And then the lights go out, of course, in you know, common AEW fashion. And then on the fucking Titantron, it says, the Great Muda Osaka Final. I was like, what? And then fucking Muda walks out. He has the Muda haberdashery on, and he's out there with the fucking fingers, the crooked shit. And I'm just like, I can't.
Crowd loses it. Crowd loses it. This man is a Finesser of the Year candidate officially. This man got to show up at fucking Grand Slam in New York with Sting on TBS. Or TNT, just like, you know, the old days. What the fuck? How did this happen? He willed this into existence. We started paying attention to Muto, and this is what happened. Like, Muto.
So you are now on the you're now on the Tony Khan Listen to One Nation Radio. Yeah. What else explains some shit like this?
Yes. Then he came out.
He came out there.
He slinks his way to the ring.
Yes.
He goes face to face.
Yes, he looks like he's about to attack Sting. He turns around. He catches Buddy off guard. Buddy makes a swing. He ducks underneath. Spits him with the... No, does he hit him with the miss first, or does he give him the Dragon Screw first? Which one was it?
Screw. I think it was the Dragon Screw first.
The Dragon Screw, which is hilarious because, like, he still looks better than anyone else doing, even though he can't do shit else. Like, only thing that man has at this point is Dragon Screws and Shining Wizards. And look, you gave him one, he chose one of the options, and he looked great doing it. And then he missed it, buddy. And I'm just fucking howling at this thing the whole time, just like, I can't believe they can.
And then,
fucking Buddha out here.
Yes. Then he missed Buddy Murphy or Matthews with the green mist. This is common mist. I saw the mist lore.
I forgot. There's different colors for different things. And some can make you sleepy, some you poison, some's toxic, some's death, some hypnosis. I think or fogginess. I forgot the color coding for all of it. I don't remember.
Yeah. And then like he rolls out and fucking Sting.
Well, we forgot one thing. When Buddy got misted, I think
he ran into Julia Hart.
And Julia Hart was supposed to take a bump off the apron onto the table. She caught the back end or the far end of the table, and she appeared to have like the Matt Hardy Garcia thing, where like just back of head hits concrete. That's what it looked like. I don't know if she's okay. I didn't hear anything.
Fine.
She's fine. Okay, yeah. That looked fucking brutal.
Man, I could tell the people on the timeline were just like clutching all the pearls for this poor white woman just falling, and this poor professional wrestler just falling, and like
it was a nasty fucking bump for anyone that took it, because like her head's in the back of her head's in concrete. Either way,
people just in shock that this professional wrestler like had a rough fall.
It was unfortunate. It sucked. Yeah. It was horrifying though. It was.
I was like, Great Muda just showed up. I don't care. Like sorry. But yeah, like Muda and Sting pose down. They throw up all the shit. They take photos. Yeah. Sting helps him with the jacket. Like, and then I find out Sting is booked for Muda's last match in Noah in Japan. I'm like, what is this world? How did this happen? I love it. I love this whole thing. This is so much fun. I was like,
yeah, it was a blast.
And I knew it was happening. I could imagine if I was unspoiled on this, I would have probably like lost my mind completely.
I wasn't spoiled yet. I knew that Muda was there, and I was like, who the fuck else is he coming out there for?
Right.
But I mean, whatever. It was a blast. It was. And look, man, like that, like. The way that y'all heard me laugh over the last couple minutes, like, you have no idea the hysterics that shit broke me out into. Like, what the fuck is Muda doing here? Oh, man.
And he wants to do a U.S. match. He wants to do a U.S. match, so he could show up on, like, the next pay-per-view or something. So, I don't know.
Darby, Muda, and Sting.
Yeah, it could be. So
versus,
up next
versus Death Triangle.
Win the belts.
No, stop.
We're gonna get a belt.
Look, if Keiji Muto wins an AEW belt, he is automatically winning Finesser of the Year this year.
There will be no vote.
Yeah, there ain't even no point even doing it. Like, he won, whatever. In fact, we might call it the Keiji Muto Finesser of the Year.
Yeah.
Especially given the shit we found out Recovering Noah like this year, and said at the start of this year, like, all this shit is ridiculous with him, man. All of it.
Crazy. Up next, we had Action Bronson and Hook taking on 2.0 or whatever. Matt Menard and Angelo Parker.
What is their AEW tag name?
I think it's 2.0.
Just like it was in... No, what was it in?
They were 3.0, I think.
Whatever.
I'm not sure.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I used to host a fucking weekly NXT podcast. I can't remember their names.
But man, this was fun. This was very fun. Action Bronson was hitting the ropes hard, giving people Oklahoma stampedes. This was short. Action Bronson wrapped his way to the ring. He was over a lot. I underestimated how
I didn't know.
I underestimated how popular he would be in the building.
I knew he'd be popular. I didn't know to that extent, but good to find out.
Yeah. And this was very fun.
One thing you also got to remember about Action Bronson, maybe you do, or maybe you don't know this. Like, he also has a following because of like the Cook show that he was doing or still does. Like, so. Like, it ain't just the rap.
Yeah, Catherine knows who Action Bronson is.
Yeah, it's not just the rap. It's not just the rap.
Yep. And it was, I thought this was a good match, and 2.0 kind of proved their value again. Like, those guys are excellent. So.
They're perfectly fine tag team to get shit on.
And Hook gets another strong look. This was tons of fun. We had Ward Joe taking on Neeson Woods. This was domination by Ward Joe. And then they had the power bombs after the match on Mark Sterling. It posed off as Wardlow showed he pulled the straps down, showed the abs. Samoa Joe also showed the abs, and they were holding the belts up. So Ward Joe. So that's their thing. So up next,
was that just do you think it's just a special tag team, one-off thing, or do you think they're actually going to become a tag team?
Nah, they're just like kind of doing something.
Okay.
Right now. Up next, we got Jungle Boy versus Ray Phoenix. I fucking love this match. This was excellent.
It was a great match that I thought was sloppy at a lot of points for those two. For my expectations of those two, and also the times I've seen them wrestle each other in tag matches. But it was still a great match nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really into this one. These guys got a lot of time, and from what I can tell, that this may have been edited down. It
was definitely edited because you could tell from like the picture-in-picture, like jumping ahead to like coming back from break was like they're in different spots and like what like they come from like I think either the first or the second picture-in-picture, like they were outside the ring, and the next thing you know, like. On my copy that I have, I'm scrolling, forward, and all of a sudden, they're just in the ring, and the action's back. Like, okay, you've done something. You've done something here.
I was like 4 1/3 on this match. I was really into this one. So Jungle Boy got the big win on Phoenix. So Jungle Boy is also like, I'm seeing the last couple weeks is like renewed focus on Jungle Boy. A couple big wins for him. So I don't know exactly what's happening with him right now because they have Luchasaurus and Christian come out after the match. They have Christian like run him down. He's very fresh, by the way, too. Christian with the kind of the brown jacket and the matching shoes.
Yeah, it was almost like a brown velvet or something, and then like also the brown matching shoes. Yeah. Also, of course, can't forget the turtleneck. Like turtleneck Christian Cage is like on just another level than like the other Christians. Like like when MJF left and the world needed more villains, that man decided to show up and try and be a villain, and he's done a damn good job at it. Like, he is so despicable, the shit he has said to Jungle Boy over these months, and like this man shows up like dressed like an evil like college professor, and it all works because he's older and shit, and like it all just ties together. It's like this isn't just like MJF saying all this, or sorry, MJF. This isn't just like Christian Cage saying all this foul shit to this kid about his dead dad and his mom family and all that stuff. This is also like the looks of like an evil professor, like trying to torture one of his students and breaking them, wanting them to like to drop out his class. Like this all ties together.
This
like,
is Terry Silver.
The only thing missing is like I want like some point where like they should catch Christian backstage like drinking wine out of glass. Like that's the only missing touch. Like he seems like such an adult, and he's so tired of this young prick for not doing anything wrong just because he's an evil old guy. Like he's great. I very much enjoy asshole Christian Cage in a turtleneck every single time. Like,
it's pretty funny.
I you know, I don't know how long he's out for, but like they're gonna try and keep this thing in the forefront of people that they're gonna get back to a match, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. So Jungle Boy picks up another win. So Luchasaurus whoops his ass. Bill's Mafia says they need to get someone else to pair with Luchasaurus and have Christian manage them while he's recovering. It wouldn't be the worst idea.
Yeah.
So Jericho basically announced a celebration of the Ocho. He blew off Daniel Garcia, who wanted to have a signature word with him. So they're going to celebrate next week because, of course, Chris Jericho has to have a championship celebration. Then they
had the Jericho champagne too.
Yes. They had Sammy Guevara versus Eddie Kingston, and they came out Kingston over a bunch. Sammy Guevara
came out first, which was surprising. I thought they were going to do the standard. Kingston's opponent comes out. Kingston walks straight down to the ring, takes off his stuff while walking down, immediately does it. But they didn't do that this time. I was surprised.
They played this video Sammy Guevara put out of him whooping everyone's ass Dragon Ball Z style.
Yes, that's exactly what that was.
So this was just like
the animation was like so poor compared to like the actual Dragon Ball Z anime. It was like I almost wondered like, did Sammy do this? Did Sammy make this animation?
I didn't know the difference. So
trust me, if I pull up a picture and put like even like the stuff from the that we got in the 90s or late 90s or whatever else, like it doesn't. Like it was just like because the shading, like you could tell by there wasn't like the elaborate shit. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's nerdy like drawing talk about whatever. But it was like, oh, this is some real like this is bogus. Like that's the way I took it. Like, oh, this is bogus. In a way that made it better because it's like, you know, people like to say that Sammy's like a phony and all this kind of stuff. It's like, of course he have like Dragon Ball Z that has like low budget like animation. Of course, that makes it even better.
Comes out with Ty Conti on her best, I'll say, and he comes out with the Dragon Ball color gear on. This was an awesome match, and then. Eddie Kingston beating the fuck out of him. Lots of suplexes. Sammy was taking it back. Starts the match on the promo. Calls him the fat ass, which is like the
working. We are now turning the shoot into a work.
Yep, what you're supposed to do. But
something tells me that like this time around, like when this happens, people won't say that like it was a work all along, much the same way that people will convince themselves about the Charlotte and Becky thing from last year. Something tells me that won't happen.
Yeah, like this was a sign of the end for the company. For this one. So but they do like they have a pretty good match, and then the finish happens, and Eddie like beats him essentially with the stretch plum, refuses to let the hold go, kind of like Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler, and throughout the night on Dynamite, there were questionable finishes. There was like, you know, Billy Gunn like with the outside interference. There was Pac with the hammer. There was Jericho with the kick in the dick and all that. So
okay, so which name you just named three finishes. What was the first one you mentioned?
Jericho with the kick in the dick.
Well, okay, and you also mentioned Pac with the hammer. What was the other one? Billy Gunn
interfering.
Billy Gunn did that as retaliation for what Swerve did to Billy Gunn. Like, so that shouldn't, whatever, I don't know. But it does play into the theme that they were going for on the show that was recorded 2 hours before this show that they're claiming is 2 separate shows that we're supposed to pretend, even though, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, all this ties together, like, okay, one, fundamentally, if you are doing an angle involving a ref, stop right there, change your mind, pump the brakes on it. So, no one is paying in real sports or otherwise to see fucking refs. Period.
I don't care about the police.
Full stop.
I don't care about the cops.
So,
and you should not care about the cops.
And two, he had already won the match. Match was decided. There was a finish. He beat his ass.
It was over.
And the ref stopped the fight because his ass was beaten too badly to continue. You can't then say, you're still beating his ass too much, I changed my mind. That doesn't happen to any other sanction. Like, when we talk about, like the, like wrestling is supposed to some extent kind of match the themes of what happens in real fights or whatever else, they will not reverse a decision. They might call it a no contest or whatever else, but they will not reverse the decision and give it to the other person. That would never happen. Someone gets soundly beat to where they have to stop, the ref have to stop the match, and then the match keeps going and they say, nah, you won't obey me, therefore I'm awarded to him. No, they just call it no contest, throw it out. So, it makes no sense. It's goofy, whatever else. Also, it's 2022. Stop. Look, I understand Mid-South, all the stuff that influences Tony Khan. This one, no. Because of number one. No one cares about the fucking refs. So, like,
the only people that care about the refs are these cornet motherfuckers and like these people who are upset, like tags are broken up, like during like tag matches, like people are breaking up pins and shit. And I'm like, yo,
I don't care about NWA rules. I don't care about NWA rules.
I don't care.
I don't care. So for me, it's like,
and I hope TK doesn't bow down to this shit, like by doing this. And like he sent out tweets like Thursday, like praising, like basically putting the storyline over on Twitter. Paul Turner responded, we're gonna tighten it up, and then like he went even further with Sammy, like, it sucks Sammy got the benefit from this, and it's like, you know, Bill's Mafia said, I totally get it. It's just hilarious. After 3 years, they finally give a ref credibility, and
but you're not giving them credibility.
I don't think
that's not the kind of credibility you give. Like, these people got over on them when they weren't paying attention. Like the refs' backs are turned, and there's dick kicking the dick. There is a punch with the ring hammer, and there is I don't know what the third thing that happened or whatever. I've already forgotten that fast.
The
interference. All these things happen when the refs' back weren't turned. They weren't abusing these refs and bullying them or besmirching them or whatever else. They got over. That happens in real sports all the time, and they don't then award the fucking Super Bowl to the losing team. That's fucking absurd. So, like, it just, no one wants to see that. And also, it's like, the only reason why you did is to continue this feud. Find another way to get, there's a million angles to continue this feud. It's the first match for one. Ding, ding, ding. You can do it again. Like, this doesn't do anything.
And I think the people that are complaining about the reffing, I think the people that are complaining about the reffing, doesn't this only bring them more into focus for them? Like, I prefer to pretend the refs don't exist personally, because I'm not coming to watch the refs at any point. Yeah, like
the only point that
count a fall.
Look,
count a submission.
That's it. Look, there are plenty of times with Red Shoes or with Daichi or with Earl Hebner or Triple H or Julia or Suzu Suzuki or Jay White or whatever else will get heat, or hell, even Jericho will get heat with Red Shoes in a New Japan match, whatever else. That happens, and that's fine, and that's the reason why you have refs and all that kind of stuff. But Jericho would also Aubrey, right? Where it's like, they do some stuff, they blow a hissy fit, and they think they can give the ref guff, the ref sticks up for themselves, whatever else, and you appreciate it because that's a way for the wrestler to get heat or whatever else. So there are absolute uses for referees in those instances or whatever else. But when it turns into like controversial finishes, fuck off. No one wants that. Like, no one does. Like, period. Like, I don't know how no one has figured this out, but we're telling you now, don't do this.
A slippery slope playing with this. Like,
I'm not concerned about it. I'm not concerned about the thing you're talking about as far as like him falling into like the metacritical critiques of refs and fake fighting. I don't know if he is falling that or not. That's not really my concern. My whole thing is like, don't do this. This sucked. There's a million other ways that you can continue a feud. I've seen you do it for the past 3 years. Find something else or use something again that you haven't used in a minute to get another rematch or get a second match between these two if you feel the need to. But like, that was just a downer. And it's like, there was no need for Eddie Kingston in New York City to kill off the goodwill of him losing in New York City. That's fucking dumb.
Well, Sammy Guevara is calling himself the King of New York now, so that's pretty funny.
That's cute.
After that, we got Jade Cargill and Diamante. Man, if we had, we may have, we talking about LeBron James, you bummed a weeks
Diamante,
right here.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, if there were like different weight size trophies, this is 100-pound trophy of being a bum. Like, this is a woman. You introduces this woman on Wednesday, right?
2 hours later.
Cut the
shit. 2 hours later. 2 hours later. We're not even gonna play this game. Like, that shit was taped.
She's like, I got the OG, the baddest bitch, Trina. And I don't know, James. Anyone could have come to us at any time and said the baddest bitch from the 305. Who else would that be, James?
Right.
Rappers are showing up on this program. Rappers are all over rap right now, trying to get involved with the wrestling spirit. I believe Little Scrappy is wrestling right now as we record this.
What's the name of that promotion?
Battle Slam in Atlanta.
Right.
So Trina comes out with Diamante. Jade destroys Diamante.
Yeah,
she's not even
kicks. Like, Diamante took a dive off the top rope and on the floor after Jade was
that was cool.
Leg damage, catches her, and not only did she catch her, it was off balance, but Jade's so fucking strong that like she wobbled and still balanced and caught her, and she while she still have to use like part of the barricade to like balance her way back up, and then did her slam off of it. Yeah, that shit was awesome. Oh no, it wasn't a slam. It was she F5'd her on the apron.
F5'd her on the apron. That shit was
and Jericho was like,
incredible.
I've never seen it before. Yeah, you have. Cut the shit. But it was awesome. It was awesome because it didn't go perfectly.
And
it made it look more impressive.
She beats her, and then Trina gets in the ring and turns on Diamante and slaps her.
Yes.
And then joins with Jay, and I'm like, this makes more sense. Like, she should be with the baddies. That's kind of like, like, I don't take
Diamante wore that Miami Heat jersey for nothing.
Yes. I don't take Trina for the type. Like the Trina that I knew growing up seemed like she would be with the baddies. Like, she doesn't seem like she's rolling with like Diamante. Sorry. Like, it does make good booking, Tony Khan. Tony Khan figured this out as well. So, yeah. You think Tony Khan was a Trina fan by any chance?
I was. That's all that matters to me.
I was too. Pull over. So, we had the Golden Ticket Battle Royal after that. First two men out were Hangman Page and Roosh. Roosh attacks him in the alley, and they were pulling out dudes I ain't seen in years in this match. I think Brian Cage was running around.
Brian Cage was there.
Man.
Bro, I knew.
The
I was
boys.
Like, I was like, what the fuck is this? When I was like, they were showing different camera angles, and all of a sudden I saw Dalton Castle's boys, two boys out there at ringside. I was like, I hadn't even seen Dalton Castle. I just saw the boys, and I was like, Dalton Castle's in this fucking match? Are you kidding me? So yeah, incredible. Man, there was a lot of how do you say this? Blast from the past, if you will, in the AEW. Like, this
a lot of men on the card.
There's a lot of AEW lore out there in that ring.
We got a reconciliation with Matt Hardy and Private Party, so they've been Matt's been trying to appeal to them, or it was like just a nice little reunion they had here. Lee Moriarty was out there, Morrissey was out there. So Morrissey was not in the match,
right? He just out there. So you know how I said that. I think it was support for like the firm with Moriarty in there, because also I saw by Morrissey was Stokely. So You know, I said that like this is like their WrestleMania. Well, this was the Andre.
You stupid.
They just throwing anybody on the card that, you know, if you're available, you want to be on the show, we'll put your ass out there. But you got to get your ass out there before we get to Roosh and Hangman Page.
So a couple of the notable eliminations were Lee Moriarty did eliminate Daniel Garcia, so that probably is going to set up something with those guys. Roosh got a few eliminations, got rid of some Dark Order guys like Silver, got rid of Mark Quinn, Lance Archer threw out Beretta, Daniel Garcia threw out Castle, Cage threw out Chuck Taylor. There were Danhausen was out of there. My man Ari Daivari was in there. He was the first man thrown out by Pentagon. Jay Lethal threw Pentagon out. Penta eliminated Lance Archer, and Page got rid of the Butcher, and we were down to Page.
Did Singh save Lethal after Lethal got launched out the ring, and then Singh just caught him and threw him right back in?
I don't remember.
Yeah, that was a spot where like Singh caught somebody out of midair and just threw his ass right back in. It was impressive.
Yeah. But Page ended up with Roosh at the very end, and they had a nice, solid, like little mini match. I would probably guess that they're going to book that as a singles match coming up sometime soon. That would be awesome. And Hangman Page ended up getting a win. So James, we are getting Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley on that Tuesday AEW show that's coming up.
When is it?
I believe it's in October. Okay. October 18th, maybe. Okay. So that's going to be a program around it. That's cool. That's going to be a really cool match. First time singles matchup. These guys got history, like going back to the last ladder match. They faced each other in a tag match before. And we knew this was going to be probably what Page would run into after he immediately won the title. So this is sign me up. This should be really good. Yep. I hope Phil enjoys seeing Hangman Page back in the title match.
It's fine. But he's gonna lose. It doesn't matter.
He'll lose, but I think it's good for him that he is like getting a focus again.
He'll be doing something like important that's not involving the Young Bucks again.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So. After that, we got a lights out match between Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, and these guys only had about 10 or 11 minutes to do their thing. It was very late at night. I heard local time it was like around 12:20 when this match got started. Lots of people left, but these two guys worked really hard in this match. They beat the fuck out of each other. Hobbs, of course, like black superhero entrance, and Starks decided he was going to bump like a madman, and they had a pretty impressive match.
They had a very good match. Yeah.
So, I like, you know, obviously it's a lights out match. This is a
I like the storytelling psychology of it. Like Hobbs is overwhelming and overpowering, and like Starks is holding on, and like they also did the spot that I like in No DQ match with a gigantic heel babyface dynamic where like it's Triple H-ism. It's like, okay, you're a bad guy. Like when it looks like the babyface is going to win in the last second, it's a No DQ match, dick kick, which leaves for later for the babyface to come back and kick the heel in the dick. I always love that in No DQ matches because it's like it's legal, but it's immoral at the same. It's unethical, and like you're an asshole because you have to stoop to this level. And like when the babyface gets you back, it's just simple storytelling of, you know. I've always loved it. You give them the receipt. So I thought the spot where they end up, you know, at the top of the ramp, Hobbs grabs like a piece of the lighting off of the entrance ramp.
That shit was crazy.
And Starks crawls back. Starks is able to spear him through the table. Hobbs is still, because he's so overwhelming and powerful, is still able to try to get back, and he tries to grab the lighting piece. Starks puts his foot over it on some Undertaker Triple H sledgehammer shit, takes it and bashes it across his fucking head and pins him. And then hit Rochambeau. I loved it. Also, Ricky Starks pulled some Adam Cole shit. He put the two chairs and put the backs of them together, and then he teased the Rochambeau, and then he got back body dropped onto him. I was like, look, man, you see Adam Cole is out of commission right now, doing shit. Obviously, it's his labor and whatever, but he's doing shit like this to his spine. Don't do that. That's not good for you. Do not do that. But it was a really good match. It was a really good match. I contemplated 4 stars on it. I think it was like because they were kind of zooming through some things, but like it was a really fun match.
Yeah, I was probably like 3 3/4 to 4. Like I'm in that area.
Same.
But like 2 very strong nights for AEW with those events. Of course, they always peak for this show seemingly. For throughout the summer, they kind of build it up for this to go against like once football starts, they want a big show. So we've got the road to, I guess, that Tuesday show, which is, I'm sure they're gonna load that shit up like big time. Like they're blowing a Hangman Mox match, which if anything has taught TK this shit, like stop holding on to shit. Like
you never know where you're gonna be able to use it, because people might get hurt or people might go into business for themselves.
Yep, or quit. Like Yeah. So,
bro, I really wanted that Malachi versus Kenny Omega match. I really did. I really did, and it's never gonna happen. It's put on the list next to like the Gargano and Pete Dunne stuff or Gargano and O'Reilly stuff that I always wanted, never got. Sad things.
Yeah. You said you had something for Stardom, right, James?
Yeah, I have the Friday Corkin Hall show that they did. I have that.
Well, I guess there's only one thing left to do, James. Hit the music!
Okay, so on Friday, Stardom ran a Corkin Hall show. Now, this is I think the 4th Corkin Hall show of the tournament, and they are 3 for 4 on just borderline, some of the best shows of the year in pro wrestling. The first 2 were of the ilk of this show. The third one was kind of like a throwaway they just threw out there. They ran it on I think it's like a Monday or something like that a couple weeks ago. And the card wasn't stacked like some of these Corkin Hall shows have been, but the other 3 were just outstanding shows. Some of the best shows in Stardom this year, the best shows that weren't, especially the best shows that weren't pay-per-views, just even better than some of the pay-per-views they've had. But yeah, so as far as the standings, I will basically update you guys up to this show. At the end of this review or whatever else. But first match ended up being... Oh, wrong note. First match ended up being Hanan versus Suzuki. Good match. Hanan, they basically used her as a person she's in there, she's a future champion, but she has lost every match. She ends up losing this match to Suzu. But in the meantime, they had a good match. Kind of in the fitting of a what has been of late, the pay-per-view format for Stardom, where it's you put Hannah in the opener and then you have a good professional wrestling match and then you move on with the rest of the card, because that's the kind of depth of the roster. And Suzu, gave her stuff, and at the end, established dominance, ended up winning with a bridging lift German suplex. I gave it 3 flat stars.
Has this show hit the service yet?
No, it's because it's on the pay-per-view thing, so it won't be up until
that's right,
on Friday. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So Tuesday it'll be up.
Okay.
All right. So then from there on, next match. So they did an announcement between matches. Kyrie does a video saying that she is throwing her name in the hat for the IWGP Women's Tournament. So I think so on the foreigner side, it starts at Royal Quest October 2nd and 3rd. I can't remember which was date, but it's one of the 2 Royal Quest shows. And then on the 10/23 show, that they're doing. I'm pretty sure it's going to be pay-per-view. Don't know, but I'm just going to assume they're doing the domestic side of the pay-per-view. Looking at the card setup so far, there's still a surprise left for who's going to be on the Western side, but like Mayu's in it, Kyrie's in it. I'm pretty sure that the domestic side is going to be the better end of the tournament, that you're actually going to care about. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Next match after that is Ida versus Natsupoi. Natsupoi just like they start teasing pose off things because like Ida's big and bulky and muscular and built like a damn running back that's 4'9", and like Natsupoi is ripped. Like so like they do a little bit of a pose off stuff or whatever else for like a couple seconds, and then like Ida just eats her up with chops, and Natsupoi is just like hitting these fucking chops, and then Natsupoi finally is able to thwart her, and then she starts like doing like the immature thing she does, like she does like the biting thing, like she's taking whatever else is funny. But they continue wrestling, and the matches are getting really good. Ultimately at the end, Natsupoi ends up beating her with an SOS, like the Kofi kicks an SOS. I only recall her doing it a couple times at Stardom, so I was like, oh, she dusted that one off. That's cool. I ended up giving it 3.5. Really good match. Next match ends up being Kogo versus All Cap Saki. It felt like they were playing off their history in Act Rest Girls. I don't know that history, but like mostly it's, Saki is, power wrestler, or strong girl wrestler, and Kogo is just in there just fighting for her life every match. So she gave her some things and cut her off, and then eventually hit her with a Blue Thunder Bomb and got the win. I ended up giving it 2 3/4. Next match ended up being Kaguma versus Izumi, and like they basically had a comedy version of like their high speed stuff or whatever else. You've seen them in the ring before. It's always good. I ended up giving it 3 1/4. Niagara Driver said that he was talking about, I guess apparently people were complaining about Kaguma's tournament, and I was like, it's perfectly fine for what she normally does. Like, she's a person that does comedy matches, a person that go out there and have short matches. And then he said that he also thinks that like whatever you think of how bad or whatever else Kaguma's tournament is, he thinks the same of Azumi's. And I was like, nah. Like, one, I don't think there's a single match, or I don't think there's any matches that Kaguma's best matches are anywhere close to the type of level of match that Azumi has had. And plus, and then he, like, looking at the conversation he was in, he was talking about how, like, compared to Azumi's contemporaries, like Suzu, like Kid, like Natsupoi, the high speed ilk, like they're having a better tournament. And I was like, yeah, they are. They're in a better block, and 2, they're allowed to get match time to go out there and kill it, as opposed to Azumi, who, like, oh, you're wrestling Tam at a Korakuen Hall show. How much time are you gonna give her? 7 minutes, 15 seconds? Okay. Oh, she's like she's on pay-per-view versus the world champ. How much time are you gonna give her? Not 10 minutes, just 9.5? Okay. Still had a great match. Same for the Tam match. Tam match, I gave it 3 3/4, but it's like 7 minutes, 15 seconds. Like, oh, she's on pay-per-view against Utami. Oh, she can't get 7 minutes? She has to be like 6 minutes and change? Okay. Micah, 7 minutes. Risa Sarah, 5 or less than 6 minutes.
So maybe you're saying it like more as a case of booking doesn't respect her enough yet.
Well, for me, it was like, I was surprised that he said it, right? Because it's like, are you not... Yes, she has not had as many good, like, great matches as her contemporaries, like the Suzu, the Suzus, the Kids, the Natsupois, but she also is not being positioned to go out there and do that. And like when people talk about like the Starlight Kid versus Zumi thing, and like people are like, Starlight Kid is like leaving her in the dust. It's like, yeah,
she'll catch up. Like, it's like that's how it goes. It goes like boom, boom, boom. Like,
right, but it's like, but they're
that's
not
how it's always going.
that. They're treating it as if it's a real thing, and it's a real like it's a real sport, like it's Manning Brady, but without acknowledging for the part where it's like there is a person deciding to position somebody here, and another person has been positioned there. Therefore, is not exactly apples to apples in the way
there
you
is a real life element to it, because like, you know, Chad Matthews talked about John Cena and Batista basically racing to the top, the main event.
Yeah, that's what Tam and Julie are doing right now all year. That's what they've done all year.
And I think on a lower scale, like I think people feel like Azumi and Starlight Kid are racing.
I mean, you can do that with MJF and Darby, right?
Right. What I'm saying is that, or I think you're saying as well too, is like there's always going an even point like that we'll be able to look at. Like, so like while Starlight Kid had the high speed belt earlier this year, she gave it up to give it to Azumi for Starlight to graduate. Now she gets to do her thing with it. Once she's like done her thing with it, she gets to meet Starlight Kid on that level after that. And then who knows, she could take the next step, and then Starlight has kept back up to hers. Like it could all kind of balance out. That's
how it should work, right? If it is a rivalry, a career-long rivalry between the two, as they age, they should both surpass each other, and then have the other one come eventually catch them, unless it turns into a situation where like one of them is so much of a bigger star to where you just can't. It makes no sense, right? But it's not at that level right now because they're both positioned as they are like the next up, if you will, over the next 4 or 5 years, what have you. But like the thing is, like, I've seen Starlight Kid main event or semi-main event in big spots like for a couple years now. Like they have never. I think Azumi has main evented a pay-per-view, or sorry, main evented a show. One show, not a pay-per-view, a show in a singles capacity one time ever. Like, we're not exactly like comparing apples to apples here. Like we're giving someone else more stuff to then go ball, while the other person that, like, if you go just put them in the same situations is probably actually better in the ring. And you're saying you're giving her less. You're saying, hey, if you want your 4-star match, you gotta go get it in 6 minutes and 55 seconds against Utami. Oh, you didn't? Oh, you're stuck on 3 3/4? I guess you had a bad tournament. I'm like, I don't think that's an unrealistic expectation, and I don't think that if you were to switch this, it will go any differently.
You know what we need?
I just found it to be weird that he said that. That's all.
We need a stat dork to come up with like a PER rating for a Starlight Kid and Azumi and star ratings for match time, like, and boil it down to one number, and then we can figure out like what the decided advantage is here.
No, but it made me out. No, but I'm just like, I'm watching and I'm looking at, okay, 1, she's in a better block. 2, she's in there with and given more time because of where she is right now. And like, I don't understand how, like, what it has to do with, like, when you mentioned Natsupoi, Susan, blah, blah, and blah, blah, I was like, okay, well, I don't know. Like, obviously, I think if Natsupoi was in the other block, like, she would have match with the Hameka match, and the Micah match would be a big deal. Obviously, that'd be another match with Tam, whatever else. But, like, if she's only going to get 7 minutes for that shit, I don't know how much she's going to be able to really ball instead of getting 13. I just don't know. But, like, I don't think that her stuff is lacking in quality minute to minute while watching her. I think she's still amazing. So I thought it was weird. I just thought, like, well, I just can't give her 4 stars because with 7 minutes, I just can't.
We need star ratings per 36 minutes. That's what we need.
Per 36 minutes. All right, Simmons. So anyway, we were talking about Azumi and Kaguma. So they end up having like I don't know. I think it went like 7 minutes or 5 minutes or something like, well, like 5-6 minutes. I ended up giving it like 3 1/4. And it was also a comedy match, whatever. So Kaguma ends up catching Azumi with a Kuma roll or whatever else, and they have a triple threat match on, I think, I'm not sure what the match, but Azumi has a high speed title defense in a triple threat match, and actually interesting, like the match where Hazuki lost the high speed match was the same matchup. It was Azumi and or was it Kid? Either way, whatever. It's Fuking of Death, Azumi in Azumi in Death in the next high speed match. I forgot when it's, but it's soon. But Kaguma ended up pinning Azumi, which, like, you're looking at the points, is like she had to lose, otherwise she would have been too far ahead and she would have like won the tournament right then and there because she had the tiebreaker over Micah and over Tam at the time, so she had to lose. So you saw it was coming. Next match, you end up getting Saki Kashima versus Risa, and like this match is one of those things where like you're looking at the points, everyone knows the points, and you know that like Risa can't get to. I think she's at 15 if she, or 13 if she wins, she gets a 15, and she's in charge of the block, and like she goes into like the final show as a front runner, and like you just know that's not gonna happen. And you also see the story that they told with Saki Kashima in the tournament where like she loses to everybody except for the top 6 people that are going to be eligible and alive come to final out of the show. So like she has clapped. She has gotten her ass beaten all these matches, but then at the end just wins with the you know, her flash crucifix pin. She has clapped Tam. She has clapped Shuri. She has clapped Utami. She has clapped Himeka. So it's like, in like the last night, like I said, the front runner in the block is Azumi. She faces Azumi the final night. She's gonna close the door on her. So it's like Risa's in the hunt too. So it's like, oh, she's about to clap Risa. And sure enough, Risa goes in there and she puts on the big goofy comedy face of like, I'm beating the shit out of this woman and it's fun and I'm playing games with her and I'm kicking her ass and I'm destroying her left and right and I'm ragged on this woman and I got like 40 pounds, maybe 50 pounds on this woman. I'm just destroying her. And then at the very end, right before, at the moment of truth, you know what's coming. We all see it's coming. Like she has a hinder with the fucking crucifix pin and she is pinned and Risa can't believe that she got caught and she has these super comical faces and it's like, I understand why they did this because they didn't want like the top 6 people to be too far, like to kill off like the middle of the pack or whatever else. But like, I wish it had been somebody that was having better quality matches than to go out there and get your ass kicked for a low 3-star match and then like win with your little move at the end. Like if this was Tekla, it'd have been so much better because Tekla had better matches while doing this. But it was like, once you got past like the first 3 of them, you're like, oh, this is what they're doing. They're just beating. She's basically giving everybody a fake L. Well, so everybody's at the top is eating it. But it's been funny, like and comical, like when like she called it Tommy. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Tommy, are you serious? Shuri? Really? Shuri? Okay, whatever. But yeah, it was a fun match while it was, because like you can see the faces that Risa's making, like it's just comedy. Like it's almost
Saki
like
Kashima knows who she is in life,
yeah,
and is working for her.
Bro, but it's funny because it's like she's gonna end up 6-6, and she beat the top 6 like people in this shit. And it lost to all the losers. It's funny.
Saki got more points than Momo right now.
She does. Both Momos.
Prophecy.
Both Momos. Yeah.
Look,
yeah.
If Saki finishes from Momo,
I think they're both going to end up at 6-6. Just in like, but the thing is, ultimately, like, what it's going to come down to is like, she plays like Saki all tournament plays spoiler for all the top wrestlers, and they ultimately close the door on the front runner, so she's a spoiler. And on the other end, it looks like Momo has to beat everybody in like her last 3 matches, whatever else, and they're all big names. So like almost makes up for the part where like she ends up 500, where it's like, okay, well, she's gonna probably clap Hazuki. She already clapped Julia. We'll get to that in a second. And I think she probably is going to happen this weekend or on Saturday. But like I imagine she clapped Mayu too. So don't tell me, I don't know, but I imagine that's going to be the case. So we'll see. But yeah. So next match after that, you end up getting Mirai versus Starlight Kid. Very good match. It was basically Mirai is trying to work over Kid with power, obviously, and work her arm to try to get her hoverboard locked. She calls him a Miramare. And then Starlight Kid, like pretty much ever since the build towards her white belt match that she lost a couple months ago against Kamatani, has been like working on like leg work in her matches. So it's arm work versus leg work. It's arm work of Mirai versus leg work of Kid. Ultimately at the end, very good stuff. Ultimately at the end, Starlight Kid makes Mirai tap out to a just
tap out.
No, I'm sorry. she works her over. She's incapacitated, and then like she hits her with a top rope moonsault. I think she kicks, and then she ends up hitting her with a variation of a bridging suplex. I think it's called a star driver or star suplex. And they're giving it 3 3/4. A very good match. Then the next match is Kamatani versus Mina. Now I already know the points. I know that like Kamatani, where she is, like she has to lose, otherwise she's just going to win. Given what her opponent on the final night is, assuming she's going to win that. You know, even though it makes sense that like if you have a champion, you don't have them win, but you have them also like find a way to like win them last night to give them like a nice going off and going out strong, going out tournament strong. So Mina's in there. Mina has played like this babyface underdog in all of her matches very well. Like she caught an upset over Big Ami and like made her tap out to a figure 4. She's been working on this figure 4 and like pattern that into her game along with like the mid kick she's been doing lately, and she's been doing a great job. And she's had like near upsets that have been really fun, like against Mariah where she almost won, against Kid where she almost won, just came up a little short. So she's in there with Kamatani, and like it's basically like Kamatani in the second half of this tournament is like gotten over like this crying loser thing and actually feels like the champion again, which I thank God. Like, I think it was a Hazuki match where it finally, like, flashed for her. It's like, nah, I ain't got to do this no more. I ain't got to do this no more. Like, I'm been this shit for a while. Like, stop crying. So, but it was just back and forth. And, like, Mina's going to town on the leg and everything. And then, like, she kind of overwhelms Kamatani at the very end. And, like, then Mina gets her up and hits I think it hits her with like 2 or 3 Hurricanes, and then like hits her with like a Thunder Fire Driver and gets the win. And like that's kind of the biggest singles win of her career. She's crying, and like Tam's in the main event, but like halfway up the card, she just comes out anyway to be at the ringside. So I was like, oh, she's definitely winning. But it was fun. Like I thought about giving this 4, but I didn't. I ended up giving 3 3/4. Really good match, and like I think that their feature length match will be even better. If and when they have a white belt match. Next match after that, Julia versus Momo. And this was the match that was stolen from us when Julia went down. Like, this was going to be the final night match that they were going to have, where Julia was probably going to beat Momo and then been in the final in last year's Grand Prix. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And it's like a match that's kind of been saved between like the top fourth of wrestlers in the company, where like they kind of never have done it. So I expected some big things from this match. I expected like this could be one of the very best matches of the tournament. I can't say it was. It was very good. I ended up giving 3 3/4, but like I was disappointed watching it.
That's funny. That's funny because, like, as soon as you said it was very good, I knew exactly the rating you were going to give it.
Oh, when I go below, it's very good. Stardom match. I'm disappointed. I'm just very good. But, like, it's 3 3/4, and like it's marred by a lot. Like it's weird match because like it's marred by a lot of like the stuff that happens that I think are like bad happens in Julia's matches, where like she loves to go to the outside, and also type matches like at times they'll just go to the outside immediately, and it's not like it feels purposeless, like just to waste time. But like once they got back to the ring and like I don't know, at the halfway part of the match, like there's some really great stuff in it. And then like then she grabs the wrench, and then like she's tussling with the ref because the ref saw her with the wrench, and then like Momo looks like a fucking moron, and then like like she still happens to gets the advantage back, and then like she blasts her with a punt, or she goes to blast Julia with a punt. Julia gets out the way, and then eventually she's still getting punted, and then like Momo gives her the pump handle bridge suplex, and then Momo and then Julia kicks, and then like Momo hits her with like three more of them back to back to back, and then like she wins, and like you can hear the crowd groan when they knew that like Momo was going to win, and it's like, yeah, man, that's not a good idea to have her do all this heat stuff or whatever else. If that's going to result is like, she's gonna win, like that kind of stinks. Like she's so good, and she's getting the groan, and like she's still having like quality matches. Like that sucks. But Yeah, still a very good match. I'm good 3 3/4. Then the main event was Mayu versus Suzuki, and they just went out there and they just wrestled their asses off. And like the matches, they wrestled it like with like switching each other up and counter each other's moves as if like this is like the third match of a trilogy. But like they haven't wrestled each other since 2019, so that was cool. And then like Mayu just kicks her head off a million times and then goes up for a moonsault and pins her. And, you know, with the points, because Suzuki started out so fast, like you knew Mayu was going to win. I didn't know she was going to win like that, but like I ain't seen like this kind of dominant Mayu like in a minute. And like it was fun to see her just go out there and have a back and forth with somebody and like establish dominance as opposed to be like, you know, when she was a champion at the end of her stretch, it was like she was holding on for dear life at all times. So this is fun
I remember
to see
that. That shit was like
it was incredible because she's so good at it. But it's like, but I kind of like the matches like, you know, her stuff like her Grand Prix match 2020 against like Mayu, or like her matches that she always has with Momo, where like there's a back and forth edgy as she, or stuff she has with Julia this year. This back and forth, you know, any little mistake and someone can be done type of thing. I find that to be more entertaining than her being the underdog babyface sometimes, even though she's still great at it. But like, yeah, she came out and just blasted her head off like with a basement super kick and then a buzzsaw kick and then went for the moonsault and got the win. I ended up giving 4 1/4. I loved this match. They killed it. And I still think there's, you know, if they, you know, title match length, they could do even better, especially because the pacing was so excellent. And then Tam versus Shuri. This is one of the best matches of the tournament. Like, it's almost as good. It might be as good as their title match, except with like
less time.
Yeah, it was like, I think they like finished like right at the buzzer, or right before the buzzer, like 14 minutes and 45 seconds, something like that.
And I can't wait till this show goes up.
Yeah, so Matt wrestling, Shuri gets the better. Obviously, they end up on the outside. Somehow they end up on the outside. They end up getting back in. I can't twist the turns of it, but basically, like, more or less, it's just like, it's like the first match without the stage dive on the outside. It's shorter. The selling's excellent. Ever since the title defense, the tag title defense, Tam's been working with a taped up arm from Mariah, working over her arm for the past couple weeks, from 2 weeks ago, whatever else. So she's tied into her matches at times, and like obviously, you know, with Shuri, so Shuri's gonna pick it up, and like they did a sequence where like they're both on the top rope. Shuri's on the outside, was on the inside facing out, and Tam's on the outside facing in, and like they're having a strike exchange or elbow exchange at the top. Tam wins it. Shuri like leans over. Tam ass kicks the back of her head. It thuds. She falls into the ring. Shuri fires up, gets back in the ring, or gets back up and slaps shit out of Tam. And then she gets up on the middle rope, and then she headbutts her. And then she grabs Tam's arm and does like the flip off into a Kimura lock on the ground. It was awesome. And then, you know, Tam fights back. They end up on the outside. Like Tam ends up Germaning her on the floor. They end up back inside. Tam hits a flirt. They have a exchange where they come from the opposite corners and run. Tam ducks a kick and hits her with like a super kick, then the spinning back kick. Then hits her with like four oh my god, what they're called? 4 bicycle knees, like front, back, side to side. Then goes up and gives her like the violet screwdriver, drops her on her fucking neck. Doesn't get the pin. Goes up to give her the Twilight Dream suplex, her super suplex. Still hasn't been able to hit it on Shuri. Keep that noted. So she escapes, and then Shuri slaps on another arm submission on the bad arm. Tam gets the ropes, tries him out one last comeback. Shuri just shuts her down and then slaps on a sleeper, and then turn it into some modified crazy fucking sleeper, and then Tam passes out. And like at this point, the video package is like, before this was, Shuri won the tournament last year. she now is basically like, for like the last few matches, it's been like, if you lose, you're eliminated. You're mathematically can't get in. It's like she has like 4 losses. And they're given how well top of the field is, like she can't survive it or whatever, based off who she has tiebreakers she's lost to and all that kind of stuff. So she has to win out to, to stay alive. Otherwise she'll be eliminated on this day. And like, it's like a weird almost 1 year anniversary of like when Tam and Shuri had their match in the Grand Prix last year. And Tam fought like hell because she was fighting to save off elimination, and Shuri fucking murdered her in cold blood to end it. And like it was playing off that whole year, and then like also tells the story of like Shuri is now 3-0 against Tam. Tam now she if she had won, she would have almost basically like locked up winning the block. Now she has to. Or she would already had like in her back pocket, like, I beat you in the tournament, you owe me a title shot. Now it's like, if you want to get to Shuri, this woman you can't fucking beat, you have to win this tournament. Period. In the discussion, there is no like, oh, I beat her, but I lost to Utami and I lost to Saki, so whatever, I'll still get on a title shot. I was like, no, fuck that. The only way you can get to her, because you can't beat this woman at all, is you have to win this tournament to beat her. And now she's 3-0. She shut off she ended your tournament last year. In a time when like she was more desperate, she still beats you, even though she's the champion. She has nothing to fight for. Like, what you got now? So it was really a great like whole presentation of the video package and the match. And like, I think the only 2 matches that are in the discussion for being better than this in the tournament, I think personally, are the Shuri and Utami match, and Julia and Hazuki. I think some other people will probably say Starlight Kid and Julia. I'm not as high on that match as everybody else. Like, I'm not in that, like, it might be in discussion 4.5. I just think it's like a 4.25 match. But yeah, like, this tournament has been awesome. It really has. And can't wait for the Saturday show to be up, because the Saturday show is Utami versus Tam, and that's like a de facto, that's the person that's going to win, whoever won that, if someone actually won it, or if it's a draw, or whatever else, we'll see. But like, if somebody were to win that, that's probably the person that is going to win the block. But yeah, great tournament so far. I guess I'll cover at some point. I'll do a show and cover more of the tournament in like over the 2 months or whatever else, and talk about top matches and story beats throughout the whole thing before getting to the show, the final on October 1st. But so I'll do a show sometime midweek, depending on electricity issues and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, love this show, and I've loved the tournament so far. And like, they've had so many like killer shows in this tournament, like even beyond just working all, like, this thing has kicked this year's G1's ass, like just kicked its ass. So yeah, trying to think, is there anything else? That's pretty much the end of the show. Is there anything else you want to bring to the table?
I'm afraid I'll spoil something about Stardom, so I'll wait. But make sure you guys are subscribing to the individual One Nation Radio feed. That helps out the show as much as like it helps out the show a whole great deal. Let's just say that. I'm also working on, or actually it's already finished. I have a big column coming about the Junkyard Dog that I woke up one day after finishing The King of New Orleans for the second time. I read the book in 2015. I read it this past month. I finished it yesterday. And I decided that I'm tired of the Junkyard Dog not being in the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame, and I'm going to do something about it. I didn't want to complain anymore. I didn't want to come on the podcast and yell into the ether. I didn't want to tweet about it. I was like, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to hit the fucking pavement. I'm about to write a fucking killer column about this shit and like really push it through the ways I know how. So look forward to that coming probably sometime this week. It will be out for consumption. And then I probably at some point will do audio, either like in a segment form here on this show, or, call in Josh and something like, because this is a great injustice that has been going on with these voter percentages. It's stupid. And I lay out a column that pretty much, destroys like anyone that has not voted for the Junkyard Dog yet. So look out for that soon.
All right. And when he has it up, we will post a link to it in the description whenever he posts it. Obviously, the next show available for that. Thanks for listening, y'all. Be sure to rate us whatever app you're using to listen to this with. If you're watching from the live stream, click on the links to the Cash App, to the PayPal for donations. If you're listening from the podcast, look in the show notes or show description and go to the Red Circle link to get to donations. And listen to other shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Besides One Nation Radio, you have Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky Clive Wrestling Show, Grown Men Watch This Shit, the Grave Consequences Podcast, 8-Bit Suplex, All Things Elite, Great Match Generator, Meet the Press Slam, Get in the Ring, and AEW Match Guide. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Peace.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Hey, it's me, your Uncle Cooper. Sorry to interrupt your music. I do love music, especially when it's set at a reasonable volume. You know, music is really only as good as your speakers. The same is true for minivans. A minivan is only as good as the tires it sits on. And the button on the screen there, it agrees with me. If you click on it, it'll bring you to all the Cooper minivan tires that'll make your minivan a really good minivan. Go with the Coopers! Cooper!